Let us believe and pray. Father Jehovah, Lord, we thank you this morning for your guidance all through night. We are not better than those who have not seen this day, Jehovah, Lord. As we want to start our meeting, we ask for wisdom and knowledge. I ask this, believing and trusting in Jesus' name.
Asante sana. Thank you very much for the prayer. Now we are good to go. So ladies and gentlemen, my name is Henry Chieng. I work at KARA. That's the Kenya Alliance of Resident Associations. And together with our partners, Hand Foundation, we're happy to host you here today so that we can talk about issues that affect our county, our city, and of course, most importantly, how we can be part of the solution, not part of the lamentation. Tuko na program, as you can see in front of you, we are going to have some brief remarks from our partners. Robertson Kabucho is here, just to give the context of this partnership and engagement. And then we'll go straight ahead to engage on a conversation that is touching on the topic of discussion today. We have our presenters who are going to speak to us and of course engage all of us in what we are going to talk about today. So we have Mr. Robert Owino, who is the Executive Director of AHERI. When he comes, he'll tell us more about AHERI and the work they are doing in Kisumu and how we can be able to work with them. We also have Mr. Samba Nixon Otieno Omumbo, who is the board chair and CEO of City of Kisumu Urban Areas Association, who will also talk to us about the topic of discussion and also what they do as an organization and how we can work with them. We are expecting the county governments to join us here at one point. There's somebody called Wilson Nindo who will be joining us. And when he comes, we'll be able to engage with him in the conversation. So thereafter, we're going to have a plenary session. Plenary session is now for all of us. That's why you are free to say what you think about the subject of discussion, to share your experiences, share your ideas, share what you think will be the solution to some of the challenges we are facing, because we know that nobody has monopoly of ideas, nobody has monopoly of information, and so if we interact, if we engage, we are able to learn from each other and also share some of the best practices that we might be carrying out in our respective neighborhoods. So at that point, we'll give a chance to those who want to speak to talk to us about what they think on the topic of discussion. At that point, then we'll have our closing remarks and way forward, and then we can continue networking as the meeting goes on. So that is how the program looks like. That is how the program is going to run. And like I said, this is an interactive session. Tumekuja hapa kusoma, tumekuja hapa to share experiences, na tumekuja hapa to see how best as communities and as community groups we can contribute to the agenda of the city of Kisumu. Because we are stakeholders, the Constitution recognizes us as stakeholders. There is a very elaborate provision on public participation, elaborate provision on community engagement, on the need to structure communities so that they can be effective in the affairs of the county. And by virtue of that recognition, we definitely must also take it upon us to get organized. Because if you're not organized, then hata wale wako kwa serikali hawata tusikiza, because they can't talk to everyone. But if you have structures in place so that they know that they talk to so-and-so, then so-and-so is representing thousands of people who are behind him or behind her in form of resident associations, community organization, then that makes it even easier for them to engage us. And also makes it easier for us to articulate our issues through a proper channel that can then make sense to the process of public participation. So ladies and gentlemen, even ndio ratiba inaka, na nimesema let's engage, let's interact, and let's live here with something that you have learned or with an experience that you have shared among ourselves. We have this interaction also going on social media. So if you are social media savvy, if you are in that space, you can also be able to follow on the social media. We have a YouTube link. If maybe you need the YouTube to share with people who are not in this room, you can do that. I think if you go to our YouTube, Kara Kenya, you can be able to see this streaming live. But on Twitter, there's a hashtag called Kara Kisumu Forum. That's on Twitter. Kara Kisumu Forum. If you go to that that space, you'll be able to see what is being discussed on that particular platform. But for us who are here, let's make the best use of the time that we have and see how best you can be able to learn from this session. So without taking much time, let me go straight away to inviting our partner, Mr. Robertson Kabucho, who is the head of programs at Kenya, Ethiopia, Hansidel Foundation. Like I mentioned, Hansidel Foundation has been our partners for many, many years. We've come here with them previously. We've gone with them to many other counties across Kenya. And our agenda is simply to make sure that you are empowered as a resident, as a citizen of this country, and you are empowered to be able to be part and parcel of the governance of this country and to contribute to the well-being of our country, of our city, and our neighborhood. So we are happy with that partnership, and we look forward to continue working together with the HSF. So please join me in welcoming Robertson Kabucho to just make some brief remarks. Makofi tafadhali.
Santeni sana, and thank you, Henry. Good morning, or as they say here, it's Oyaure. Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Robertson Kafusho. I am happy to be here in Kisumu. I'm a regular visitor to Kisumu County, also courtesy of our work that we also do with one of our partners. And I'm happy to see my friend Cardinal Komenya, who is coordinator of one of our partner organizations, the Ecumenical Center for Justice and Peace, that we do some work together here in Kisumu as well. I work with the Hans Seidel Foundation, this organization. It is a German political foundation. Our work in Kenya through partners such as Kara and other civil society organizations, as I've mentioned, like ECJP, and also partners in government. We focus on the areas of democracy and good governance, youth and gender, and climate change adaptation. Our office in Nairobi covers work in Kenya and in Ethiopia. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you all to this gathering that's focused on the critical topic of the role of resident associations and community groups towards strengthening accountability and effective service delivery in Kenya, and importantly also in Kisumu County. In Kenya mainly because our cooperation and with Kara is now on this particular topic in Nairobi and in different other counties to champion the aspect of strengthening accountability and effective service delivery. Over the years, as Henry has mentioned, this partnership with Kara has served to provide a very important platform for dialogue, collaboration, and collective action towards addressing the pressing challenges faced by our communities and gradually advancing the cause of good governance and development in our country. So we usually organize such platforms on a monthly basis in Nairobi and in different other counties to provide such engagement, conversations, and exploring way forward between community members, resident associations, and relevant government officials, county government officials, as well as experts on this particular issue. So as we convene today, it is imperative to recognize the pivotal role that resident associations and community groups that perhaps you come from, the role you play in shaping the socio-political and governance landscape in Kenya, limited resources in some cases notwithstanding. These organizations at the local level serve as the heartbeat of our communities, embodying the spirit of civic engagement, empowerment, and social responsibility. From advocating for better public services to fostering social cohesion when there is tension between communities, and also resilience. Resident associations and community groups have served as catalysts for positive change and progress at the local level. So at the heart of our discussions today lies the fundamental principle of accountability. Because in a democratic society, accountability forms the cornerstone of effective governance, ensuring that those in positions of authority remain accountable to the citizens they serve. And resident associations and community groups, through their active participation and oversight mechanisms that are innovative and are relevant to different contexts in urban areas, in rural areas, have, through their active participation and oversight mechanisms, serve as watchdogs, holding public officials accountable for their actions and decisions. By promoting transparency, integrity, and importantly, ethical conduct, these organizations have contributed significantly or can contribute significantly to enhancing trust and confidence in public institutions, thereby fostering a culture of accountability that is important for sustainable development. Furthermore, the theme of effective service delivery also in today's topic, it underscores the need for the urgent need to address the persistent challenges faced by our communities in accessing essential services. Each of you probably has an example of an unsuitable experience that you have gone through while seeking services in healthcare, land, education, permits and licenses, water, and sanitation. Resident associations and community groups, therefore, would play a vital role in consolidating citizens' voices, bridging the gap between citizens and service providers in national and county governments, and ensuring that the needs and priorities of community are adequately addressed. For example, this platform provides that your voices can be consolidated and addressed by the relevant officials. Through innovative initiatives, grassroots mobilizations, and partnerships with relevant stakeholders at that local level, these organizations have the power to transform the delivery of public services, making them more responsive, equitable, and efficient. So as we embark on our deliberations today, let us reaffirm our commitment to harnessing the collective potential of resident associations and community groups in driving positive change and promoting the well-being of Kisumu County residents, because that's possible. You just need to get energized towards that. And by working together in solidarity and collaboration, we can overcome the challenges that lie ahead and build a more prosperous, inclusive, and resilient society for even generations to come. Because, you know, with the age that miaka inaendelea, but we have younger children in school, in kindergarten, primary school, so we need to make our counties, we need to make our communities, we need to make service delivery work even for them. And therefore, I wish you all fruitful discussions and meaningful engagements throughout this forum. Together, let us chart a path towards a future where accountability is upheld and effective service delivery is guaranteed for every member of our community. Thank you very much.
Sana, thank you very much, Robertson, for those remarks and just for letting us understand the importance of community groups like the people seated in this room. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we can now go to the next stage of, or the next phase of the program. And like I said earlier, the topic of discussion today is role of resident associations and community groups towards strengthening accountability and effective service delivery. It's a long sentence, but what it is saying in short, kazi yako ni gani katika governance of this county. That is in summary. That's basically what we are saying. What exactly is your role? How can you contribute to make sure that the county is being governed in the right way? What can you contribute to make sure that you are accessing services and you are part and parcel of the decision making that is taking place in this county? Like I said, we all have a role. We are all stakeholders. By the virtue of the fact that you live in this city, you are an automatic stakeholder. And if you're a stakeholder, inamaanisha, when people are making decisions that are affecting you, you must have a role to play. You must contribute ideas. You must share your views. You must do what you need to do as a responsible citizen to ensure that we are having better services and to ensure that we are actively engaging in processes that are going to affect us in one way or the other. So with that in mind, this is how we are going to go about the next phase. We already have our two speakers here. I talked about them earlier, Robert Owino and Samba Nixon. So they are going to give just what I could call an overall comment, overall overview of the topic of discussion in respect of the work they've done, in respect of how they understand what the role of the communities are. And then after that, I may ask them one or two questions from where I sit. They can respond to that. But then the most important bit will be for us now to engage. So tukikuja, after we've done that, we'll open it up to plenary and you can ask your question. You can share your experiences, because I've said it's not just about the question. It's also about sharing your experience and sharing ideas on what you think need to be done. We hope by that time the county person shall have joined us and we can also engage with him on what we are talking about today. So with that then, allow me now to invite Robert Owino. Robert Owino is a director at the Community Initiative Support Services and also the founding director of Africa Higher Education Research Institute, doing a lot of work here in Kisumu and beyond. And of course, he has a fair appreciation of what exactly community can do or how community can work to ensure that we are improving our living standards in our neighborhoods and in our county. So he'll speak to us briefly on the topic of discussion before we invite the next speaker, and then we can have a few questions for them. We proceed in this manner. So without taking much time, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Robert Owino to speak to us. Makofi tafadhali.
Thank you, Henry. Maybe I'll ask two questions for guidance. Can I move around, media? Can I move around? Thank you. I'm not as formal as Robertson, and you'll allow me to move around. The second thing I needed to ask Henry is, you're not paying anyone to be here. So everybody is here out of their own volition. Tuko pamoja, mtu hajalipwa, uko hapa kwa hiari yako, si ndio? My name is Robert Owino. I'm a director at African Higher Education Research Institute. That's the full meaning for AHERI. I know here we have AHERI, I love you. But under this circumstance, it is African Higher Education Research Institute. The mission of AHERI is ideas to action. And I think that is trying to simplify the theme of this meeting. That long sentence that Henry has talked about is basically ideas to action. Whoever we are, wherever we are. African Higher Education Research Institute was founded in 2010. Back then, we looked at the gaps we had. That after 60 years of independence, we are still struggling with the same challenges of health, illiteracy, and what else? Poverty. And we're having those problems up to now, after 60 years. So we are asking ourselves, what can we do from where we are? We are grateful for Hans Siedel Foundation, We're grateful for all the other development organizations. But what can we do for ourselves as residents of Kisumu, as Africans? And that's why I was asking if anybody is being paid. If you are here for yourself, then you already have an idea. We have conferences and workshops, colloquia, bringing together members of the academia, members from the ministry, government ministries, departments and agencies, and also industry. We have worked with Mr. Gina also in empowering members of the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce in how to utilize digitalization in this era. We have also worked with a number of institutions around, and it gives us great pleasure. It gives him great pleasure to be given this opportunity and privilege to speak to us on how, as residents associations, we'll be able to contribute to accountability. Now, I will give a background which will inform what I want to say. I don't know if this, it's audible. There are, now, maybe you say this. The policies that exist that support the Residents Association to contribute to accountability are based on 3 areas. One, the country, our country, Kenya, has been classified as a mid-income level economy. That means we have sufficient income, we have sufficient resources. The challenge we have is how to manage those resources. And funding for some of those projects that have been funded before are not there. I wish that the county government will be here, because the next policy consideration or a reality that no funding. Hello? Hello? Is this better? There's no funding to go around. And the reality is, as much as we are demanding so much from the national government, we have demands of the county government. The reality is that there's no money. Looking around, there are few people I'm seeing here who will remember in Kisumu, they used to provide dustbins. How many people remember that the county government used to provide dustbins? They used to provide and come and pick them. Do they provide now? Do they pick them? They used to come around and spray mosquitoes, bushes. How many remember that? Do they do that now? For those who don't remember, can you imagine that? Then, under health, I used to just, from class 5, I will be told, you are sick, walk to the hospital. When you get to, there was municipal hospital, there was Moscow. As soon as you get in, there will be somebody to treat you. But now, even as an adult, you'd go there and stay for long and you not get medicine. There was infrastructure. Roads used to be made. In fact, potholes, we thought potholes were invented because we never knew what potholes were. We started reading about potholes, but nowadays potholes are the order of the day. Most of this new generation, they think potholes, we didn't know what potholes are. We were learning potholes in secondary school, and then we were saying, how do potholes happen? But nowadays you make a road and after 1 year, that is early even, sometimes months, then there is potholes. We had education. And education was, there was no academy. This academy, how many people? Even people going to ECD, nursery nowadays, they say they are going to academy. But then municipals or local schools used to be very well funded. We could attend any school and you'll be able to. There's the issue of security. Our children could walk to school without thinking. You'll stay at home. Once the child goes, you expect the child to come back. But now you have to follow through. If you don't have a boda whom you know, it is you who takes the child to school. All these things are what we want to change. And the question is, what are you doing about it? This is a forum that we can have this conversation and ask ourselves, where are we going to, where are we, and what can be done? As I said, the reality is that the government does not have money. KARA, the Kenya Association of Residents Association, is far much ahead, because we can't keep on asking and waiting for the government. It is in our interest to come together and see how we can work. Clearly, we have an opportunity. With the 2010 Constitution, we have devolution. That Constitution gives us the right to come together and determine on ourselves, this is what we want. This is what we want to do. There are associations or there are institutions that can still work with us to enable that to happen. Now Aheri is here. We have KARA is here. The county government is not here, but each of us represents spaces and institutions where you can influence to make this change. We are looking at technology. How do we leverage on technology? For example, for security, in town here, we have the concept of nyumba kumi. I know all of you, wherever you stay, you have an idea of who are the bad people. Is that so? Have you reported them? Why have you not reported? You fear. They will come for you. But if you went to your phone and you could inform the police anonymously, the police will get an information and say that Robert has been behaving in a manner likely to disturb the peace. They will come and show me people, what wanasema ni hivi. Who will betray? They don't know you. Through technology, they won't act. But what if they were here and we say this is what we want to do? This is the system that we are adopting. They will accept? Then what will happen? No, you cannot say nothing. You are here. As a people, there's always a first step. We have taken the first step. Then the next step, if they don't do, we will think of the next step. We'll also come here and say, Father, pray for us for protection. Then we go and face them. Sindio? But the issue is technology can do a lot of help. We have the issue of health. All of us were affected by COVID. Sometimes it was so bad, I went round and collected about 2 of my friends' households who are living in far places, but the man was sick, the mama was sick, nobody could help them, and people were afraid. But if you had an effective health management system, and I believe the county is doing a lot on primary health, where we can say this is where the health problem is. In this particular estate, we have this number of cases. How can we get medication? You've gone to health centers and they tell you, yo dawa hakuna. About 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there was a shortage of rabies vaccine in the country. Why was that? Because they will keep vaccine and there was no rabies. But it wasn't that it wasn't there. The reporting was not done properly. So we need to leverage on information system to report, because it will take you how many hours? And you're not sure if they will even come. But if it can be done at the comfort of your home, By the time you're walking, you just send a message, this and this is happening. Let us not wait for what will happen. What is our part? Vile tunaenda kanisa, tunatoa sadaka na fungu la 10. Do you now think of what they're going to do with it? That is between them and God. If somebody comes and says, help me, do you want to give them money and then ask them, what are you going to do with it? You've done your part. So that is the part that we want us to take. And I would like to encourage us, even as we go through the discussion, what is our part? What are you doing? And if we are together, if we continue this conversation, and thanks, Henry, you say this is a continuous conversation. I wait to hear what our members are going to say, but more importantly, the action points. That after this, let us at least come up with 1 or 2 action points. That next time, we are not coming to talk. The starting point will be, we said this and this needs to be done. So those 2 or 3 action points is what I'm going to sit and wait for. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Robert, for starting us off and for the very useful presentation. And yes, vile amesema, we'll agree on action points, what needs to be done, and how to follow through on that. And that's why I said at the beginning, we are here to share, to ask questions, but also to share your experiences and share your ideas on what is it that we can be able to do to ensure that we are making an improvement in our county. Yeah, so having heard from Robert on his presentation, I think he's touched on a number of areas. And I like the fact that he was touching on issues of technology and how we can be able to use that to improve our involvement in the county affairs. So we are going to go to the next presenter. And our next presenter, I'm sure is known to some of you. But he'll introduce himself when he comes and what he does in Kisumu. So Samba Nixon Otieno Omumbo is board chair and CEO of City of Kisumu Urban Areas Association. So atatuambia ile kazi anafanya and also just speak to us on the presentation. So mkaribishe Samba tafadhali.
To our guests and Kara and my colleague from the Hans Sidel. And ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Morning, Uru again. Yes, I am delighted that you heeded to our call and you are here joining us for this very important conversation. And we say that this is a new Kisumu. And by the presence and the response of all of us, it means there is some urge to transform this city from its citizens. Now, my name is Samba Nixon Otieno. I'm a resident of Kajulu Ward, somewhere called Watorego. And I'm the immediate former CEO of the Kisumu CBD Association, which was founded in 2001 to oversee issues of the CBD. But when the new act came into force and when devolution came into force, the government in its own wisdom came up with a law called the Urban Areas and Cities Act, number 3 of 2011, which now created the city of Kisumu. How many of us know how the city of Kisumu, how old it is? How old is the city of Kisumu? Now, if you go to the history, we believe that, we are believing that the city may have started around 1898 when the white man came here with his train, okay? And to mark the beginning of the official life of Kisumu, this exercise was done in 1901, somewhere in December 14th. So we believe that the city started its journey around then. But when did it become a city? That is when it started as a town. Then it became a municipality in 1940. It's one of the greatest cities because it produced the first female mayor in the whole of Africa. So are we not happy about our city? So the city became a municipality in the 60s, and sometime in 1996, His Excellency, the retired, the late President Moi, made a proclamation that it is going to be a city. But he died and left office without giving us a charter. So technically, we were not a city by that time. So we are one of the youngest cities because we just became a city in 2013 by Section 60 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act, and I'll give you an assignment so that you go and familiarize yourself with that act. So today in Kenya, as we speak, we only have two cities, and that is Kisumu City and Mombasa City, that were created by Section 60 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act. Nakuru was just elevated to a city status the other day, but they are yet to be gazetted officially. So as we speak, we only have Kisumu City and Mombasa City. Nairobi is a city county. It means it is a county and a city at the same time. So we are blessed that within Kisumu, we have the Kisumu City and we have the Kisumu County created by that law. And for the first time in the history of cities, this act has recognized residents of a city. And the law went ahead and said that these people must not only be seen, but must be heard. So if you look, if you interact with Section 22 of that act, it creates what we call the citizen forum, or the citizen fora. Number two, the faith-based organizations are represented, and this is a law. We are not requesting you to that they watuone vizuri. Then the association of the private sector are required to sit in that forum. Then the neighborhood associations are required to sit in that forum. So we are saying that for you to sit in that forum, the regulations that were released by the Cabinet Secretary of Urban Development in Nairobi requires that for you to sit in that forum, you need to belong to a neighborhood association. And the law requires that the neighborhood association must be accredited by the city board. And for you to be accredited by the city board, you must have been in existence for at least 2 years. Do we have any registered neighborhood associations in the city of Kisumu? Registered. Very nice. You have existed for more than 2 years. Very nice. So those are some of the neighborhood associations that we are currently going to push the city board to accredit you, so that anytime a decision needs to be made in that neighborhood, they have to consult you. The law has created space for you and given you powers to make decisions on some of the issues that affect that particular neighborhood. Now, it goes ahead that requires that for us to have neighborhood association, because each and every neighborhood has a different particular need. So we are required to zone the neighborhoods. You will realize that the zoning of the neighborhoods we will probably use the roads. Tukisema like Nyalenda might have as many neighborhood associations as possible. Then we will need to cluster them. Like now we bring all the neighborhood associations in Nyalenda and put them under one cluster. Once they are clustered, then we can now accredit them at the city status. Now, it is only through these formal institutions that the law now recognizes you as a resident to engage with the city. I know things have not been happening nicely Of late, you've seen a lot of bulldozers. They just wake up in the morning and bring down a neighborhood. And when you make noise, and I know Mr. Udi Ogada is here, he makes noise and some elements in government singles him out and wants to deal with him squarely. But now that is now where we are saying, Mr. Robert highlighted some of the problems that we are facing as a city. But then the question is, who do you think will change Kisumu City? It is? It is us, isn't it? We are here, seated here, and there are some people who are seated in City Hall. Are they better than us? They are not. But it's just that we've delegated some authority and powers to them so that they can take care of our city. But then now, we must come out very strongly as a people and ask ourselves, what is my role within this city? And now that the law has created a position for you, that you, in your neighborhood, have an association, so that whenever you're going to speak to the governor, you don't speak as yourself, SEO, so and so from Nyalenda, but you go there and say that we, the residents of Nyalenda, through our association, we want ABCD done. Yes. So when we go to legal institutions, and then the government of the day has become very kind, that now registering an association, you don't need to go to Nairobi. You just sit on your computer, go to eCitizen, bring the officials, and then at least you need to have at least 10 members to register the association. And it's only 5,000 shillings to register an association. I think the guys who registered Kitambo waliona ugumu kidogo because you had to do it in Nairobi, which was very expensive. Now the government has become very lenient, that you can just sit on your computer, register your association, pay 5,000 through M-Pesa, and your certificate will be sent to that email. You don't need to go to Nairobi. So then that now brings us to the question that what are we going to do after this? And what is going to be a contribution? My former speaker was able to highlight some of the problems we are facing as residents of Kisumu City. The people who steal from us, do they come from Kakamega? They come from Kisumu. They are our neighbors, they are our sons, they are our fathers, and we must now play a role. And it is through these resident associations that we are now transitioning from tunataka kuacha ile engagements ya vita, where whenever we see a government officer, we want to tell him bad things, to now bringing that responsibility back to us and telling the government that this is what we are willing to do as a people. What is your contribution? We want to build a relationship between us and the government so that we can make our city a better place. And that responsibility has been bestowed upon us. The law has given us the forum through which we can execute that. Because the other day when I went to ask Bala Wanga and told him, I want you to accredit, I want you to recognize the neighborhood. It will give me the list of all the neighborhood associations. And I realized there was none. Yeah, I was told there was one in Obunga, but they have gone dormant. Very active. So out of the entire Kisumu City, there is also a resident association, a neighborhood, registered. I will need to talk to you after this. So then it means we have already started making that step. So what is important for us is for us to now assign responsibilities of these associations and have them accredited by the city board. And the procedure for accreditation has been provided for in the regulations that were released by the cabinet secretary in the urban development. Now, I know as a city we are facing a few challenges. Number one of them is we still do not know where the boundaries of the city start and where it ends. And that is why you remember the other day when the city manager said, do not bury the dead in some areas. People questioned him and told him, where does the city start and where does it end? Like now where I come from, Watorego, we are a completely village. Eh? And we asked him, do you have any document that shows that I'm part of the city? Then we realized there is none. So we are going through a transformational journey, and we are hoping that in the fullness of time, we will be able to achieve a true status that the city is. Now, you will be surprised to realize that Kisumu city has been classified as one of the fastest growing intermediary cities in Africa. And within the Lake region, it's the second most important city after Kampala. And you can see that currently now we are trying to revive the trade between Kisumu and the rest of East and Central Africa. Therefore, we are positioned so well to create wealth for ourselves as a residents, but we can only take these opportunities when we have very strong, powerful associations. If you're a member of a business community, if you're a business person, please ensure you join a business association so that whenever you articulate your issues, you don't articulate it as yourself, but you articulate it through the associations. I'm glad that Bwana Israel Aguila is here, who is representing the Chamber of Commerce. If you're a business person, please ensure that you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce. In your neighborhood, once we have done the zonings, make sure that you actively participate in the neighborhood association. Now, I mentioned that I'm the board chair of the City of Kisumu Urban Areas. This is an association that was founded in 2016, so we've been in existence since 2016. And our main mission is our main role is to provide oversight on the management of the city from a resident perspective, but we are there strongly to complement the efforts of the government of the day for the promotion of this city to be the best investment destination for any visitor, for any worker, and for the residents. So the membership into the association is not through individuals, but it is through registered bodies. And that is why you'll realize that any association that exists within the city can always have membership within the City of Kisumu Urban Areas Association. I know my final plea would be that the city is going through a change. And you will agree with me that sometimes when a change is being implemented, there are losers and there are gainers, isn't it? Do we all agree that the decision to move Oile Market was a good one? Was it a good one? It was not by then. Kuna watu waliumia hiyo wakati, si ndio? Na watu walilia. I remember we went to the streets to protest that. But today, what are we saying? We are now looking at that and we are seeing that our city is gaining shape. So as that journey to transform our city into a city takes shape, some of us are going to be hurt. But in the long run, most of us will be smiling. Just like any woman goes through while giving birth, isn't it? It's a very painful process. But as soon as jama kamechomoka, everybody smiles, isn't it? So we must join that journey to transform the city. But what we are also requesting the people in authority, let us do it with some level of humanity, isn't it? Yes, hii mambo ya kuamka saa 9 usiku na bulldozer, it means you are doing a wrong thing, isn't it? But if we come and we sit down and we agree and say that enyewe, we need people to move from that area, then we are even the first people to tell the governor, please bring the bulldozer now, we flatten this place. But hii mambo ya kuamka usiku na flatten our areas, it means somebody is doing a wrong thing. And the only way we can tackle them is by having legal bodies that can deal with them. Because if I go there as Samba, they'll be able to single me out and threaten my life at the end of the day, isn't it? But if we go there as associations, then you tell the governor, now deal with the association. You're not dealing with Samba. You're dealing with the association of residents in Nyalenda or in Obunga. Then some wangteko necha the dog page matin, don't we? Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to end there for now. But my final call is that the law is now protecting you. It is upon you now to bring yourself to the threshold where the law can now interact with you. And so that we can start the journey towards making our city a better place to live. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Asante sana, makofi tena kwa Bwana Samba. Thank you so much, Bwana Samba, for that. And I think he's really brought out the fact that these things we are doing are not being done in the space. They're not being done out of the blues. They're actually anchored in law. And there's a law that recognizes very explicitly neighborhood association, their role, and how they can be able to work with the government to ensure that we are improving service delivery. So I've also heard him asking if there are registered neighborhood associations here, and yes, there are several. So that conversation that you are having with the city manager, I think we can pick it up so that we can be able to see how we can further it and for the benefit of president associations. So far so good, sindio? Tunaelimika? Are we learning something? You're learning something? Very good. So like I said earlier, we had invited the county government of Kisumu to join us in this conversation because we know that they are the executors. That we have very good ideas, very nice things to say, but it comes to a point where we need them to come in and implement. Sindio? Because we don't have the mandate to implement, we don't have the resources to implement, like in our Wakonayo. They have given the powers by the law to implement. They have the resources to implement some of these good ideas. So as we talk, we also need to have a conversation with them. And I like what Samba has just said, that gone are the days when we could be in a room like this, and then it becomes us versus them. It's no longer that way, because the Constitution provides a mechanism and platform of conversation. So we need to talk as stakeholders of this city. The county government is a stakeholder. The residents are stakeholders. So for us to move forward, we must have a conversation and say, this we want, this we don't want, do it this way, do it that way. And at the end of the day, everybody is happy because we feel part and parcel of the city and of the governance of this city. And that's why in CARA meetings, we always want the government to be in those meetings so that they can hear what people are saying. They can also tell us what they're doing and what they think. And at the end of the day, we can come to a conclusion or can come to a consensus that this is the direction we want to take, and this is how best we can be able to address some of these challenges that we have. So we are happy that we have a representative from the county government sent by the governor. We had made an invitation through the governor's office. And so if you see him here, just know he's here on behalf of the governor, and he's been sent to represent the county government in this particular meeting. So Mr. Wilson Nindo has joined us. He is the Director of Public Affairs at the county government, and certainly I will say the right person, because here we are talking about how the public, and that is us, can work with the county government on various issues and various areas. So Nindo will come and speak to us briefly about the topic of discussion. If there are things that the county government is already doing around these issues, feel free to let us know. But most importantly, just talk about how best can we strengthen collaboration between the county government and the residents of this city, either through resident associations, community-based organizations, business associations. So long as people are organized in whichever form and whichever format, I think it is important that we agree on how we want to work so that we can be able to improve our city. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Nindo to come and speak to us. Makofi tafadhali.
Muko salama. Asanteni sana for taking your time to be in this kind of discussion. First of all, my name is Wilson, as has been said, Wilson Nindo. I work in the county government as the Director of Public Affairs. Public Affairs used to be titled Public Participation, but after some restructuring of the executive in the 2023, this title was changed to Public Affairs. And Public Affairs includes matters engagement with stakeholders, citizen participation, and civic education. Those are areas that I coordinate as a director. I work in the Department of Public Service, County Administration, and Participatory Development in the Office of the Governor. I'm very sorry I'm here to represent the county, but because the governor himself wouldn't have been here as he would have wanted, because there was another planned activity. There is a public function opening of a health facility that has been done by the county government and Safaricom Foundation in Seme Mother and Child Hospital. So a number of our functionaries are in that function this morning, and that's why it was considered that I be here. I'm not irrelevant here as I join you, because I can see faces here from the chambers. I can see a lot of faces that I interact with, because the area of public affairs makes a person in charge be very much in touch with the faces. So first of all, I want to appreciate the organizers of this meeting, the CARA, led by Henry here, and I know we have our the executive of other representatives of other organizations, and all of us in the house. Mine would not be so much, but I want to appreciate that this kind of engagement is very key. In my directorate, and that is in the office of the governor, public engagement is given a lot more emphasis moving forward, because we believe that people that know what the government is engaging or is doing are people that are easy to govern. If you don't know what the government is doing, then you are a lot more likely to antagonize the government. Not because you are antagonistic, but just because you don't know. We have, even though we have the public, as you know, is very diverse, and there are several interests that come into play when we are talking about matters engagement in matters governance. I say so because if you talk about, for example, a city like Kisumu, it is diverse, first of all, in terms of the people who live here. First of all, in terms of ethnicity. Second, in terms of livelihoods. There are people who are doing business. And in business, there are several types of business. There are people who are working. There are diaspora, people who are working here and made this place their home, but they have another home somewhere. So generally, in this diversity, it is very challenging that if there is no this kind of engagement, then we as government may not find it very easy to govern. Having said that, I know there are a number of us, and so many of us, who would want to appreciate what the county government is doing. For purposes of information, Henry, I don't know the people represented in this room are from which jurisdiction. Are they the city, or we are from the entire county of Kisumu? Across the county. And here we are talking about resident associations. The county government have a structure of administration. which is running from the office of the governor. And in the public service, we have the county, sub-county administration. Sub-county administration, we have 8. We have Moroni, we have Nyakach, Nyando, the new sub-county of Kadibo. We have Kisumu Central, we have Kisumu East, Kisumu West, and Seme. Those are 8 as we're speaking. In each of these sub-counties, we have a total of 35 wards. Some counties like Seme have only 4 wards. Sub-counties like Seme have 4 wards. If you go to Kisumu Central, we have 6. And others have 5, like Moroni, Nyakach, Kisumu West, and Kisumu East. So within each particular ward in that structure, we have what we call the village units. The village units was created by the Act of the County Assembly of Kisumu in 2019. And each particular ward has a unit called the village. It does not really represent any geographical area in terms of acreage, but it goes by each ward 2 village units. So you'll find that in some wards that are too huge, you find also very 2 huge village units. And in that case, even if the government, because that's the last kind of unit that we're creating, already we have the village administration at the village unit level led by a village administrator, but we are also activating the village councils. I know quite a number of you perhaps might have been appointed at some point as village council members, but that has not been activated, 1, because of financial constraints, and 2, because there was a review also in terms of what the county assembly was viewing that village administration and the councils. So we are before the end of this financial year going to activate again the village councils, where we are going to have 5 members for the village council in each of the village units, chaired by the village administrator. Having said that, you can see that within that kind of prism, there must be gaps. And this is where I always say that government can only go a certain length or certain heights when it comes to serving the people. There are things that the government may want to do, but sometimes they remain wishes because of the huge nature of the responsibilities. And in my directorate, one of the things that we do is ensure that we engage the non-state actors in supporting some of these programs. And that's why here I have an opportunity to talk to people and say a few things and display or explain the structure of government, because Kara have already put you together here. And the non-state actors actually would always fill some gaps where the government is not able to achieve. Therefore, when I say non-state actors here, I mean the non-governmental organizations, the civil society organizations, both local and national. We also have the business community, the private sector. All this, we try to make them come into these discussions so that we can together complement. And from the foregoing discussion, we have reached a level these days where we speak to each other, not at each other. Because at least when you are speaking, you have an opportunity as government to explain why you did not do what you're supposed to do. So, but if you're not given an opportunity, like for example, there used to be a time when you could not put such a kofia of government because ndio hawa, yeah, ndio hawa. So if it is ndio hawa, do you think you have a chance of explaining anything? Yeah. So sometimes when I leave this office, I will sit somewhere there, and I know some of you there have been in government, and they can still sit and discuss matters government. Meaning, when you're talking about development, development is not something that is static. Development will never end, because if development ends, I think it will end after we have all decided we are not reproducing and we are not eating. So, and then it's just sitting at home. Perhaps we will not be bothered about develop. But so long as we are talking services, we will always find that services must continuously either be maintained or be improved. And that's why government exists through our votes. We surrender our authority to an entity called government to offer those services. And when that the power of the people is given to an entity called government, then government must take responsibility. In Kisumu County, therefore, there are a number of things that the county government is doing, and some of them may not be very popular, based on sometimes just approaches, not because what is being proposed or done is wrong. But again, when you talk about the public, if you look at the side of the public is also very, I can say, very complex entity, because within or among us, there are people who are supporting or want to complement the government, but there are some people who are not honest. They will go behind the curtains and say, no, ile kitu vile tulisema pale, hapana, watu wanatuchezea. And then they go organizing again behind the scenes. And if you have a public participation that makes some resolution that now we will be moving from this point and going to that point. Maybe traders, let me take for example. I'm not saying that all the things that Abalawanga approaches have been good, but perhaps some of the things that have been done, even in the city, for example, you're asking about Oile Park. Some years later, you realize that this thing was good. Some years later, we start saying we are in Europe. But when you're starting to do this, you are dealing with interests that are not homogeneous, interests that are not the same. And for example, you go to the street and you expect that people will relocate. And these people who are relocating, some of them have rented those spaces. And they're paying rent to somebody who is not the entity that you gave the votes. You see that? And when you meet as traders, you say, oh yes, it is a good idea. Let's move to that place, move us there, allocate us, and then we will go. But there's some people here who do not want that relocation, because immediately you relocate, you interfere with their livelihood. You interfere with what they get on a daily basis. And they have powers and money to be able to do some politics, which is negative energy. So let's know that that also exists. Coming to the functions and responsibility or the duties of residents association, just as I've said that we have gaps. And if we have very strong resident association, a resident is somebody who is occupying some space, a geographical space where they call home, even if it is for the time being. Where you are calling home, you know so much around that area. Perhaps somebody who's speaking like me, sitting in the office and maybe coming to the public once in a while or always, may not really, when I come to the public, also get to know so much the nitty-gritties and the details of what you can know. So this is why such entities like the residents association can become very powerful tools in engaging our citizens in terms of education, supporting government initiatives, taking government to account, and of course, mobilizing residents to participate in government programs. For example, we have what we call the public expenditure management cycle, which goes on forever. Every other time there is something that is happening in the management of public resources and matters development. So if the residents association would be able to, perhaps, for example, know that in the month of July, August, that is the month that we are making proposals to the county government. If residents association know that, then they will be able to organize their members, they will organize the estates, and some of the things, or the issues that need to be captured as proposals for development or for matters maintenance will be captured. And they will present this, not necessarily that you must go to a public participation, but as sometimes memorandum, petitions, and such. And if you have this association, it is more likely that within the members of the association, you'll find some people who we can call elite, some people who at least went some miles in books.
you can share that with us so that we can also learn from each other. So I'm going to pass the mic around. Somebody can help with the mic. No, it's okay. That one will help. So I'm going to pass the mic around. So if you have a question, please make it brief and to the point. Ndio watu wengine pia wapate chance ya kuongea. So if you have a question, just ask the question. If you want a specific person to respond to it, mention the person you want to respond to the question. If you have a comment to make, also make it brief. So basically, I'm sure in 1 minute, you are able to say what you want to say. Kama ni swali, you're able to ask the question. If it's a comment, you're able to make the comment. So let's make it brief and allow as many of us as possible to be able to participate in this meeting. Tumesikizana? Okay, we'll start with this side, this row. So can I see anybody who has a question or a comment on this row? I've seen about 6 hands. So let's start from here at the front.
Let me take it straight on. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mine has been...
And you also introduce yourself, just your name. If you're coming from a particular organization or resident association, just mention that also.
Good. My name is Joseph. I'm coming from Blimani. The question that was asked by Mr. Samba has really startled me. Who will make change in Kisumu? And everybody responded, we. This question has been asked for several years, and this answer has always been the same. I don't know if we are moving or if we are progressing, but you'll probably be able to answer that. I just came back home after 15 years, about 6 months ago, and I see the same similar phases, same arguments, same conversations. Now, the point of action. What I really care about, I'm a PhD student, but also a doctor. I reached out to your office with Mr. Ugeno a couple of months ago when I was coming back home. I wanted to intern with you. So, the conversion. How do we convert all these perfect theories, perfect policies, into real action, into service, into something that we can hold on? Because, or else it's going to be like this, our kids will come and go and we still be doing this.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My beautiful name is Linda Ogweno. Today I represent Migosi Residents Association, and I hope Migosi people are here. Apart from that, I also wear political hats. My first question would go to you, Henry. I'd want to know if you are to register a residents association, is there any support that can come from CARA and maybe by extension your partners, Hensedel Foundation, in the registration process? The last time I was in this forum, what we have done since then is we have had a WhatsApp group called Migosi Residents Association, where we do share opportunities. So I think I would want to know, we'd want to now have it formally registered. So is there any support that comes to that? I'm going to tie that to my next question, which I'm going to address to William, Director Public Participation. I'd like to bring to your attention that if you can kindly adopt technology in disseminating information. What happens during public participation, at times you find some people are not able to attend because of life responsibilities. So if you're able to share that document early enough, then people who are not able to attend the function physically can still make their contribution. What happens currently is you share the document with the ward administrators or village admins, then they hoard, they keep that document to themselves. Then the day of public participation, they go print it, then they give it to you. And in two hours, you're expected to read a first document and understand it and make a healthy contribution. It becomes a bit challenging. And I brought up this, and I was told that you fear that we will edit it. When you give us information prior, we will tamper with it. You know, with the current technology, we can play with it, and therefore it does not end up being like that. But I think that's a challenge that can be overcome. And so if you can share with us that document in good time so that we're able to look at it. And if I'm not able to attend public participation, but I'm able to give my opinions, It will also give us an easy time in having a record. Because what happens if person X go to public participation A, then person Y goes to the next one, then there is no flow of information. Person Y does not even have a clue what was discussed in the first public participation. So by the time our opinions are reaching the county assembly, then they're not our opinions. They are opinions that are disjointed. The flow is not there. So that would help with that. My third question would be to Kabusho, I hope I got it right. As a partner, I would want to, you know, I've seen in the panelists and I've looked at your website and I've seen gender is one of the things that your organization really supports. And I would want to bring to your attention, I think it's very obvious that there's no woman in this panel. So I don't know if it's us women who are not qualified or what happened. I would, as a gender champion, I would want to, that is close to my heart and I would want to bring it to your attention. Lastly, I'm thirsty. And if the budget can allow you to drink some water, can I please drink some water? I was one of the first people in this meeting and I'm a bit thirsty. Can I please have some water?
Thank you so much for that. I think I'll answer some of those questions. It's not for Robertson. I think that's for Kara.
I don't know whether it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. Wilson, you can bear with me. What happened in Kosao some times back, when your people came at around 1, and they wanted the program to go on, and the people refused. What are you doing as the head of that department to correct such issues? 2 goes to Mr. Robert and Mr. Mumbo. You have said AHERI was formed in 2010. City Urban was started in 2001. As you know, and I also know, that most of the people live in informal settlement, over 60%. What are you doing to reach this bigger constituency?
One who was money and he was not getting a chance to be in politics, maybe alinyang'anywa. And we have one also who is working, maybe MP or MCA in underdevelopment. So these 2 people are the hindrance maybe to the development in the community. I had a good example. There's something was happening as a PMC, and because we want a change where a public officer was trying to talk about is that the political rewardees, yani this MP is coming with money or this MC is coming with money to manipulate the community so that you may not do the right thing at the right time. For example, I was in the hospital management team whereby we wanted to fence the hospital through the county government. This is whereby, and I had a map of the hospital, and when I told the contractor to do the right thing, use the map, but because who am I in the community, I have no money, through the politics, they akachangwa, because the PMC must be organized and must be trained by the political affair man, who want his people to be in that place so that they may do his own work. Like you have said nicely, somebody coming from behind and inciting other people so that they may do not do the right thing in the community. So at an agent of change, I want to change this thing to do the right thing. But because of political affairs, and also somebody who remained, who didn't make opportunity in the name of Omaya, came also with these people saying that you are doing a wrong thing because it facilitates the community. So in this matter, my brother, as agent of change, what can I do? Because I don't have money to give people, I only do have all the right. So as association, when we come back, when we come to champion for this, then you find people coming at night to rob you and to beat you. So you are under attack. This is the fear we have. So you'll have to help me there.
Asanteni sana. Habari zenu nyote. Mimi swali langu linakuja nitauliza maswali mawili. Jina naitwa Safia Shaban kutoka Kaloleni. Swali langu litaenda kwa Mr. Samba na director. Niwaulize tu watufafanulie kama sisi watu wa Kaloleni. 2010 tulijirejista kama Kaloleni Association Neighborhood, lakini mpaka saa hizi hatuoni faida yoyote. Alafu nikienda kwa director, kwetu pale Kaloleni kuna social hall ilianza kujengwa na kwa saa hizi tunaona imesimama tu. Sasa hata tunajiuliza itakuwa namna gani? Sasa tulikuwa tunataka Mwenyezi Mungu akisaidia tupate majibu, alafu kama hata anaweza kutupatia namba yake tuende atueleze mengi, kwa sababu saa hizi tumepewa muda mchache. Alafu ya tatu ni mambo yetu ya title deed ya Kaloleni, ilisimama tu, hatujui imefikia wapi. Asanteni sana. Mefurahia sana wenye wameorganize hii mkutano.
Asanteni sana. Kwa majina ni Cardinal Elias Komenya. I'm working with the Ecumenical Center for Justice and Peace as county coordinator. But I have a request for our people. First, tumekubaliana tuanze na sisi. Lakini if our presenters not apply the law of this nation, how we can implement what we want. Kwanza ni hii. Nyinyi nasungumuza Kiingereza, but Kiingereza is option 2 as the Constitution of Kenya. If you read Article 7, Article 7.1 said the national language of the Republic of Kenya is Kiswahili. If you read the 7.2 said the official Republic of Kenya are Kiswahili and Kiingereza. Kiingereza is option 2. And if you read the 7.3 said the state shall promote and protect diversity of languages of the Republic of Kenya. And we come here for civic education. And our representatives continue with Kiingereza. How do you know? Hawa wanaelewa yote. That is mine. 2, we as ECJP, we come up with 2 type categories of civic education. First, usiseme ati governor or government ako na makosa kabla hujamwambia yeye. And that is why we come up with civic engagement and civic education to engage other peoples to the process. The second, our project we call linkage. We link the people with the both national and county government and commission. Wakuje kwa wananchi waelezea kuna gubaga, waulize maswali wajue, badala ya kusema I want to teach you alafu kufanya. Hii haiwezekani. And lastly, as civic engagement and civic education, we apply Article 38 of the Constitution of Kenya. How do you apply your rights? Kama kuna makosa fulani, nyinyi wanakaa chini, wana write the petition or memorandum and submit to the relevant office. Hiyo tuko na matunda mingi. Kuna wakati mwingine alipata project barabara atengeneshwe, vile ndugu yangu alikuwa nasema, lakini badala ya kutengeneza kwa ward A amechukua akapeleka kwa ward yake kwa sababu yeye yuko na mamlaka. We come up and we educate the people. People write that petition to the governor office. And governor came out and akauliza the CEC for loan. Mishoe, the contractor, akahamishwe pale, akakuja hapa, lakini kama nilimwambia nini? Hiyo ni sadaka yako na hiyo watu, kwa sababu our advertisement ilikuwa kwa hii ward. Kwa nini ulienda pale? Kwa hivyo, to educate our people to know their right and how they can participate in the government project. Lastly, thank you my brothers and sisters. Nimefurahi na Kara. You cannot walk alone. Walk with your partners. Kama Kara iko hapa, like ECJP and others, can we involve other women group and others to work with us? Because those small organizations or small group know well grassroots than us. Kwa sababu mimi nitatukuja kutoka Vihiga, that's an example. Lakini kujua vile hapa Kandege iko yule ambao nakaa huko. Asanteni sana na pole sana kukosea nyinyi. Tafadhali tuzungumze lugha yetu ya national language.
Kwa majina anaitwa Charles Ada. Jina naitwa Charles Ada. Kwanza nitasema ni asante. Mimi siku hizi huwa sipendi kuja katika mikutano ama hafla aina hizi kwa sababu yale ambayo tunasema huwa kitu. Vyangu ambaye amesema anapata mambo yale ambayo tunayaongea. Ni kwa sababu gani? Nafurahia niliposikia mkisema wale ambao huwa wanajaribu kutoa sauti kama audio garden, nimesikia mkisema huwa wanapigwa, wanakuwa insulted. What do you do? Mlisema who will bring change? Nani watafanya mambo yabadilike? Tukasema ni sisi. Lakini sisi ndio wale ambao wakati wenzetu wana raise sauti kulalamika, tunakuja kutumiwa kuwapiga wale ambao wana raise sauti. Ni kweli ama ni rongo? Kwa hivyo we will remain in the same place lamenting and doing all this over the years. Kwa sababu gani nilisema mimi huwa naogopa kuja katika hafla kama hizi? Unapata kwamba sana hizi organizations hizi zimekuwa registered through politicians ambao pia wameandika tu watu kufanya, zinakuwa ni kama projects. So you get money, you come, share, get our ideas, what, throw them there. Mnaongea kuhusu ile, I was the chair of ile. Mnasema ile ilikuwa pali pabaya. Alafu siku hizi ni nzuri because there are trees there, isn't it? Hapo ile kulikuwa katika hiyo ubaya ambayo mnaona, kuna professors now ambao mama zao walikuwa wanauza pale, wakapata pesa ambao hawangeweza kupata na wakawasomesha. Leo tunasema miti and people are hungry. Have you ever thought and even asked yourself, where are those people who are, ile? Nilisikia representative wa governor akiongea. Nataka niwaeleze na niwaambie ukweli. Why you will remain the same. Katika zile afisi tunachagua governor, wanaandika watu, then inakuwa ati watu wanataka kuwa relocated. Alafu governor alisema anataka kumaliza hii mambo ya cartels, yeah? The cartels ambao walikuwa chini sasa hawako. Cartels wako pale afisini. Ukienda Uhuru Business Park pale unasema ati watu wapelekwe kule. The rich, those people within the county ndio wamejenga yale manyumba. Wewe uchukuliwa hapa kama mwanabiashara, uende ukodishe nyumba yake uendelee kumlipa rent. Wakati tunatengeneza tunataka tufikie governor. Wale waliomzunguka pale ndio wenye zile vitu, watakupa nafasi. Ukienda kwa ofisi ya governor, tumeomba, inabaki sasa siku hizi tunafanya demonstration. Unaweza fanya hiyo demonstration, unaenda kule pia hata hutapata au hutasikika. Inakuwa what do? You go back home. and then sasa wewe unakuwa victimized. So if we won't address these things, then we will remain the same. Our brothers will be coming from abroad, wakikuja tutakuwa tunasema tu haya, yanabaki kuwa ni Kiswahili, ni msemo tu. Tunaelewana? Kwa hivyo if we sisi tukitaka kubadilisha ni kwamba one, tukatae kutumika. Two, to support one another, tutoke nje. Because wakati vitu zinafanywa, tuna demand for public participation. Somebody just comes and rubs all that. Alafu akienda huko, mnaanza, ukiwa utaanza kuraise maswali. Here in Kisumu, you will be termed, utakuwa branded UDA. All those bad things, ili usipate, usipewe, ama usisikizwe. So when we are going to address that, I'm telling you, because those women, kama mneza, kama tuseme, chukua jukumu lako, usijaribu uweze, nataka kujua hao wanawake ama wale walikuwa hapa wako wapi. Wengi walikufa, na wale ambao wako ingia Jubilee pale wile usiku, they are still trying to strive to feed their families. Is that how we want our people to be? Is that? If not,
okay, thank you so much for the challenge. Thank you so much. I think we'll respond as we go along. Nataka tumalize hii side so that we can also give a chance to other people. Maybe we'll just take, in the interest of time, we'll just take all the questions in one go.
Thank you so very much, Bwana Chairman. Ya kwa majina, mimi naitwa Ezra Kahoya, a retired civil servant. I've stayed in Kisumu for the last 40 years, and now the village elder for Nubian. And I've been participating in most of the county's meetings and all that. We are even well known with the governor. I would like to applaud what he said. But for now, I would like to very brief, because I'm going for another meeting immediately after this. I want to call a spade a spade. I'm repeating, I want to call a spade a spade. The Kisumu setup, I've been hearing people clapping and doing all that. I've been in Kisumu for all these years. And for real, there has been a change. When you talk of the status of a city, expect the odds and the bads. I worked in Nairobi. Things that happen in Nairobi, Mombasa and all that, yes, you will go extra mile. Mr. Sampa, you talked about it. We'll have to suffer at the end of the day, but there must be a change. Oil, yes, I agree with you, my friend, but there must be a change for anything. For Kisumu to be what it is, if you look at the structure of Kisumu, the setup was somehow messed up with those who developed it. It was messed up with. Right now we are crying, and we are the same people who are built on drainage. Let's call a spade a spade. And when you are removed there, you complain, oh, Abala E, Abala Z. I have to speak it. I have been a PMC in most of my, by the way, the village where I come from, I've been representing them in such forum. Interestingly, one person said here that we need to talk with men and women on the ground. And therefore, I'm representing them on the ground as the village elder. What is it that we should do to improve this city, starting from the village, which is in Nubian, for example, where I stand for? We have, and it has not been mentioned there, and I would like it to be embraced, social cohesion among family members. You cannot talk of developing this town when we have so many divorcees, we have families breaking. Families breaking, and we talk of the, are you getting my point? When families are breaking, we have widows and widowers who are not catered for. Oh, yes, of course. Women leaving their husbands to suffer, and then they come here to say, yeah, at the expense of their children. How can this be addressed? The family fabric of the society is weak. We are staying in a decaying moral system of the society. Can Kara address that? Recently, I came across a situation whereby a lady whom I took to college because of that was butchered, terribly butchered by the husband. Can those be, and you take these matters along, nobody addresses them. I want that thing to be addressed by the carer. I don't know how you'll address it, it's a concern. Then number 2 is warranted essential services. For the government, I hope you are there, put on roads that are essential. Put on roads that are essential. We have insecurity around. Recently, when we did some gated estates, and then that the way we were saying, because of political interest, somebody used a senior person from the county to come and demolish that gate by using Mr. Balamanga's name, which was not true. And the gate was completely destroyed up to now because of personal interest. What am I trying to talk about? We cannot bring development when there is insecurity. And when you decide to restore security, some of you collude because of the small enterprise business we have and demolish the gate. Can we address matters like that? We have unemployment.
Please wind up so that others
yes.
can also get a
We have unemployment. How are we going to address that to the carer people? Right now, there's this Jitume program. Make good use of it. Make good use of it. Then,
okay, thank you.
The last one is service delivery. Then my last point is, Wajaluo anasema ngamofuo chimbga mariek. Ngamofu, we have seek for water here. Were we going to get it at the end of the day? Then number 2, there should be motivation. My friend, I've been attending your meetings. At the end of the day, there is motivation. Motivation. You come here, there is no allowance, whatever. Will you come again? And I'm sick. Yes, you come here and there is no progress. Thank you.
Okay, the last one in this row. Please, let's make it 1 minute because time is going. Tuache kupeana speeches. Yeah.
He's living without his responses.
And he's leaving. It's fine. Okay, straight to the point, please.
Yes. My name is Yudia Ochieng. I'm from Game, but by virtue of buying land. Go. Now, I have 3 things that are a challenge to us as residents of a particular area. I want to believe that probably where you are staying today is not your motherland. Sini ukweli. Maybe you are there by virtue of marriage, or because you bought a piece of land, or because you inherited something from somebody. For me, it's by virtue that I bought a piece of land there. Now there are such challenges that we meet that sometimes I would love Kara as an organization maybe to come down to the grassroots and give us what we call basic education. And some of us have registered organizations and associations, and most of these things have become like common women group and youth groups of those particular areas. We have no difference. What they do, they are merry-go-round, that's what we do. But again, there's nothing that distincts us from those local activities. And this gives us a big challenge. What is an association compared to a women group? Si kuna tofauti? Can we start behaving like an association? This is a group that brings head from different areas. Now, my first challenge is on political area. You realize that you are a member from Game like myself and you want to be an MC of that particular area where you are residing. The first thing you'll be asked, kwani kumaniai onge ofise kabelago? And maybe you've stayed there for the last 20, 30 years. You become part of political association of those particular areas. Kara, what will you do? Hans Fair Foundation, I understand you are dealing much with politics. how do we become bona fide members of members of those particular areas that we stay in. Number two, when it comes to development, you realize that when money is coming from you, it is okay. But when now you need their support, it becomes a challenge. Why? There's that bridge that can only cross one way. It does not cross backward. Kara should come up with a policy that would make us understand that once you reside in an area for a given period of time, you are a member to benefit from factors both affecting that area positively or negatively. We should not only be affected negatively, and where positive outcome comes out, then you are asked, encha inyakanye. Sometimes it pains. You get a child you want to take to school for that community. But when your son wants to go to school and you say, let's pull together the Arambe Zoom, and you are asked, na hiyo pesa yote ya shamba, sungepeleka nayo mtoto shule. So I think Kara should come up with a policy of bridging the gap between the resident. I'm tired of this name, real natives and not natives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we want to cross this other side. Ndio wengine. Huku kuna mtu akona swali? This is the other side. Okay, what do we do? We take all the questions, halafu wajibu. Sisi hapa tujibu hizo kwanza. Wajibu hizo kwanza. Haya, at the back huko, mwisho kabisa. Halafu tupate majibu.
Good morning. I have a comment, not a question. Na ningependa kwa vile mmoja wetu alisema tuongee kwa Kiswahili, mimi naweza ongea kwa Kizungu lakini nitaongea kwa Kiswahili. Nasema kwamba let's not deviate from the topic. Because the topic here says the role of residents association and community groups towards strengthening accountability and effective service delivery. Yes, residents association and community groups can strengthen. We can package ourselves. Sindio, tunaweza tukajipanga. Na naweza sema hivi, kama maybe for instance, nimesikia kama kuna Ubunga resident association, kama tunaweza kujiweka kama as an association tunakuwa na thematic areas, like maybe let's say the county, maybe like where we're staying in the Kisumu, maybe in your residence, where there's issue of sanitation, where there's issue of poor governance, maybe there's an issue of water. We can package ourselves like in a form like I can say like kind of ministries, like a ministry, sindio? And then when we package ourselves, now we can come to that actor, like let's say Kisumu, the county government or the national government. Now we can tell them that in this area we have a certain challenge, A, B, and C. And like for instance, one of the lady was saying that kuna social hall ambaye ijamalizwa. That's a very good point. Asa tukijipackage, you say our issue here in this area is we want a social hall, or we want a community water project, or we want toilet facilities. So truly, we can really be a very important tool on accountability and helping also the county government or that authority in that place for effective service delivery. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Introduce yourself, please.
Oh, sorry. I am John Andera Gutu. I am a chairperson of the Water Action Group. Water Action Group is a brainchild of WASREB, where we help communities on issues of water. And I also volunteer at the county government Kisumu in the Department of Environment, Water and Climate Change. Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. And I think I just want to emphasize on what you've said. I know we have a million issues that we can talk about here from morning to evening. But because today we had a very specific subject to talk about, I want us to try and restrict ourselves to the subject of discussion. The other issue can come and talk about, and we can talk about later. But I think so that we can save on time and can be within the right context, let's try and stick to what we're talking about, the role of resident associations and community groups towards strengthening accountability and effective service delivery. Basically what we are saying, how can you organize yourself, or what can you do using your structure on the ground to engage the government and other stakeholders on service delivery. So ndio tusiende sana, let's try and restrict our questions, our comments to that particular subject of discussion. So vile tumesikizana, nitaambia wenzetu if they can quickly respond to the questions that we've had so far, and then we'll have one last round of questions for this other side, alafu tumalize mkutano, si ndio? Haya, wacha nianze na Robert, because the order in which you are speaking. I think there are some questions directed to you, and you can just come and stand here for the purpose of the media.
Work with the informal settlement. Of course, one of the issues is coming to such meetings, and I'm glad we spoke online. I didn't imagine I will meet him. So there's always opportunity. Tuje, tuzunguze, na ningependa kuhimiza ndugu wetu wile amesema saa hizi hataki kukuja huku tena. Tusife moyo. I think there is steps. We're making steps. When we come, sometimes you just come and listen, you'll get an idea. Sometimes you come and listen, you get an encouragement. Yeah? So there are questions that we're asking ourselves, and we do a lot of partnership because we can't do everything. There are certain groups, I think I saw somebody from Tanada, we work with certain groups that work with women in the informal settlements so that we can support each other. But we are also open. I think we can take my contacts and we'll take that conversation. I think that was the only question I had. The problems were these two gentlemen. Yes, 2010. I studied in Germany. That's where I studied, and that's why we started this organization. And we came in, and we've been holding conferences and workshops, which have informed certain formation of policy, because we are at that level. And we also have some projects, like in Obunga, I think we brought connectivity. We have a hotspot in Obunga, where we are supporting just Sis and Aheri. Let us have that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. I will try. My questions were many, but I will try. And the first one was from my colleague here. He said, how do we make things change? Because we talk and nothing is done. And that is why Kara has participated in the production of the regulations that operationalizes the Urban Areas and Cities Act that now formally recognizes neighborhood associations as legal entities that must, the word here is must, be engaged by authorities within a city for decision-making process. Now the law has made that provision. It's now upon us. And I also want to tie that with one of the person who said some of these associations are registered by politicians. I will tell you for free that the initiative to register an association will depend with the residence of that person. If a politician is a resident there, siye pia ni mkazi wa hapo. Na kama nyinyi mumeamua kumpatia yeye chairman ya association yenu, si yako na hiyo haki. Because the leadership of the association lazima kama watu wa Ubunga, nyinyi ndio mnachagua chairman yenu, na mnakuwa na constitution that is very explicit that says that you can only be a chairman for this period of time, because you cannot be a chairman forever. Yes. So your constitution, and your constitution doesn't have to be the same na constitution ya ile ya Milimani. The Milimani, they can have a different constitution because your problems are different, isn't it? Wale watu wa Milimani shida ni tofauti na wale watu wa Ubunga, wale watu wa Manyata. So when you are developing your constitution, it will govern you. If you say that we will elect a chairman every 1 year, it's up to you. But let us also agree that the politician is also a resident. That's the first thing. Because even today I can become the chairman of Obunga, then next election nisimame, ndio? Nikwe MCA. Do I just automatically stop becoming the chair? I'm still a resident of that nini. So let us, that's why we are saying, let us close that gap where we are seeing politicians are the other side and we are here. Government is the other side, we are here. We are the government. Constitution chapter 1 says the supreme authority belongs to Ngao again. The people of Kenya. So we are the people, isn't it? And the people who lead us come from us, and we give them that power. So now that the law has now recognized formally associations, it is now giving us a space now for us to be heard. I know my friend here registered the association 205. For you to deal with the city board must accredit you. So that you don't just go there that, oh, I'm a registered association, let us now work. No. The regulation requires that you have to be accredited first by the city board. Then they put you in their register, and now they know that a particular association is in existence, and now the city board can engage you formally. So that process, we have to do it. Linda asked about support from Kara. I don't know, but the government has made registration very simple. It's only 5,000 shillings. And because this is your association, you must get members subscribe through paying some small fee. So I think you can raise that 5,000 and register the association. Now somebody asked about how does Sikua engage informal members of the informal sector. And I'm coming from a school of thought that nearly 90% of our working population in the city of Kisumu belong to the informal sector. So it is a very powerful sector that controls the economy of the city of Kisumu. And that is why in the wisdom of the drafting of the act, the informal sector wamepewa nafasi yao special to sit in the city board and also to sit in the citizen forum. So that the informal sector are logically and legally recognized as entities and very important stakeholders in the governance of a city. But then that recognition is already there. Then somebody is now telling you, with all the powers that I've given you, what are you doing with it? So then the challenge comes back to your end. What are you doing? The law has already given you the space, it has given you the powers. It is now upon you to now take that action and act. We, for correction, we have not been here since 2001. Sikua has been here since 2016. We graduated from the Kisumu Central Business District Association to align ourselves to the new law that came into force, that is the Urban Areas and Cities Act. Now, Madam Safia from Kaloleni, you registered an association in 2010, and I think you defined, samahani niseme na Kiswahili, wakati muli register, but we are also in Kisumu bwana. Kiswahili is a bit of challenging. Yeah, but lakini nasema wakati muli anzisha hii association ya Kaloleni, mulikuwa na nia ama ile goals ambaye muliset. Mulisema tunaanzisha hii association kwa sababu ya shida fulani fulani ambayo tunataka tutatize. And kwa sababu uongozi wa hiyo association iko kwenu. Sasa itabidi uulize wenzenu leaders waambie tulianza hii association ili tufanye 1, 2, 3. Tumefika wapi? Na kama tujazifanya tunaweza pata usaidizi wapi? Wajua? So nia ilikuwa ni yenu na tunakubaliana ya kwamba as a citizen you have an integral role to play and a clear, I mean, to decide and my friend from county government said, as somebody ule ambaye ako pale mashinani, wewe ndio unajua shida yako. Wewe ndio unajua shida yako and unaweza i-communicate vizuri sana, ambapo hiyo shida yako isipotatuliwa bado uko na haki ya kupiga kelele. Hao wakubwa wetu wakiwa pale huko juu hawezi jua shida yako nini. Lakini sasa wewe ukiwa pale chini lazima wapiga kelele useme hapana, shida yangu haijatatuliwa. Ndio kwa maana sasa serikali, sheria imesema kama hii association yenu iko na haki kupeleka makaratasi zake pale kwa city, mnakuwa accredited, alafu inamaanisha wakati wowote ambayo kuna shida Kaloleni, hii ndio itakuwa sauti la watu wa Kaloleni. And the beauty of associations, let me tell you ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the powers associations have been given, you have the ability to partner with the government to even render some of those services at the estate level, and the government can pay you for it. When we come to issues like waste collection, an association mnaweza sema sisi kama resident association in Kaloleni
tutachukua ile jukumu ya kuchukua takataka zote hapa. Unaweza sema kila nyumba hata kama ni kuleta 50 shillings ama 100 kila mwezi, because mnafanya kwa sasa hivi. Then you're already doing the right thing. Then of course we need to partner now with the city. Twende tuambie mheshimiwa Abala that sisi kama resident wa Kaloleni already tunakusaidia kazi ya kuzingatia takataka. Mwenzangu amesema mambo ya gender based violence, mambo ya domestic violence nyumbani. Dhulma ya kinyumbani. As an association, you can have that as one of your objectives. So that an association, you can set up what we call alternative dispute resolution mechanism. That is recognized under the Ministry of Justice. That you can sit in the village and solve some of those neighborhood. Jirani mbwa yake imeenda kukula kuku ya mtu. That can be solved at the neighborhood level. Na tumesema ya kwamba, rafiki yangu pale amesema, sisi wenyewe kama majirani ndio tunaangamizana. Yeah. So if we are able to have this association and give it the powers, because the association is closely linked to the Nyumba Kumi initiative. You know, Nyumba Kumi initiative now is an initiative of the national government. But now the cities, and whenever you are under a city, now the law will only will recognize, not only, but the law will recognize resident associations. Now I think that really answers the issue of politicians' involvement in resident associations. Kama wenye mtaamua kwa elect kama leaders of association, hiyo ni yenu. But number one is a resident of that neighborhood. And of course the issue of some of the projects stalling in your area, that is something that can be strongly be addressed by the resident association. Mr. Omenya, thank you very much for reminding us about the inclusion of other languages. And it's just that sisi kama watu ya huku, we express ourselves better in the language of the Queen's language. Hii ingine tunajaribu kidogo kidogo, but at least we are cognizant of the fact that we are multilingual. Tuko na wengine wetu ambaye wana. Now the civic engagement, this conversation will continue, because at the end of the day, lazima tukue na ile Kisumu sisi wenyewe tunataka. And let me just give you an early warning. This change is not going to happen tomorrow. It is a process. Some of us might even die without seeing those changes happening. But the continuity, the consistency that we will have, that will remain dedicated, the people in this hall, when you live here, we go out there and start having that conversation, changing the attitude of our politicians and telling the neighbor that, you know, I need you the much you need me, the much I need you. That conversation will continue, and we start changing our attitude, as my sister has already highlighted out there in Wathorego, where I also bought land there. So sometimes when opportunities come, they look at you like you are not a native here. But who is the owner of Nairobi as we speak today? Kuna mwenye Nairobi? Si kila mtu alienda huko akanunua akanyakua shamba. That is the same thing that will happen to Kisumu. Yes. In another 150 years or 20 years from today, the natives, and I can tell you them from my example. Yeah. I can tell you from my example in Wathorego, the natives are selling their homes. Na wanahama wanaenda huko Uyoma kununua mashamba huko. So it will mean Kisumu will be, for even look at Nyamasari. 90% of Nyamasari is owned by Kisis. You see? And that is the future we are going to. So the idea is changing attitude and embracing change. But in the process of embracing change, there are people who will resist change. And they'll use all manner of languages to resist change. But the beauty of change is that if you cannot change with change, it will either change or get rid of you, isn't it? So I think I have really tackled the issue of attitude change. Mr. Ezra Kahoya, thank you very much for emphasizing. We are the people who contribute to these problems, and that is why now we are saying, can we change our attitude so that we become part of the solution, not part of the problem. Issues of insecurity, the street lights, Yes, this is a serious, consistent problem. And that is why we are saying, if we could be having very strong neighborhood associations, issues of street securities and even giving priority to the roads, that will be a function of the citizens. And it will become a very strong way of engaging our friend here at the public participation level. Because what I know they do, you see, the constitution does not bring, the law does not bring a threshold that how many people do you need to meet or attend a public participation. So they can even go and bring all our grandmothers who don't even understand anything. But in law, they will have done public participation. But now, if we have resident associations, where we are now going to say that if I do not see the chairman of Obunga or the secretary of Obunga when we are talking about issues around Obunga, then that meeting is null and void. So that we organize ourselves and say that through this our
Nixon.
association.
But just a few. One, I also want to request that perhaps the direction that this meeting would have taken is more of what can we do. I think the first speaker, if I remember, that was Joseph. And then we have John Ogutu and Ezra Kahoya. Perhaps brought us closer to what this meeting should end at. Because we are here talking about the roles and responsibilities of resident association and community groups. As we speak, I know there are people who still maybe want to ask questions, but I want to also ask that if your question has been answered in the process of talking, then let it not just be a question because you must speak. That is not to say I'm gagging someone. But basically, in this kind of a meeting, to me, it's not a question and answer thing. Perhaps clarifications. Clarifications may not be definite answers. But for this kind of movement to take off properly, we must bring it to us. And therefore, I start by echoing the words of John Ogutu, Joseph from Milimani, and Ezra Kahoya, that we should look at this thing in terms of us, Mimi, the responsibility. We, a lot of time, tend to focus so much on the rights. And when you focus on your rights, you're always asking somebody else who is supposed to give space to that right. And one funny thing about right is that right ceases to be a right if it infringes on another person's right. So if you are a resident and you want a road, and perhaps this road is going to pass on somebody's construction or house, then what we call public good carries the day. Public goods means the majority. Is it your house or the road for the people? I don't know if somebody's getting me. Yeah, so this is where now government comes in. Sometimes government comes in to solve problem for the majority. Or let me say, that is the basic role of the government. And minorities are also there. And this is not to say that government should be very negligent of the voices of the needs of the majority. But basically, when it comes to residents association, if I look at what the question Joseph was asking, how do we convert this Kisungu Mingi into something that can help us? Something that is sustainable, something that is tangible. And we're talking about actions of governance. And if Kara is talking about good governance, then we are also discussing good governance, then it is very obvious that we will always identify when there is bad governance. For example, my colleague there has spoken about the elite cartels replacing, the other cartels from the street or the street families. If you have people who are living their livelihoods in the street, or they get their whatever business they're doing is basically informal. Maybe they are hawker, they can sell from any direction, from anywhere, from any location. And then the fact that we are modernizing or making the city better actually disadvantages them. And then when they are disadvantaged, now we come up with what we call the organized areas. And then again, the organized areas are taken by people who are supposed to actually lead us in good governance. At that point, we do not lose our role as citizens. We still have to point that out. We still have the right to point out that, no, this was meant to be for this kind of people. And what we are seeing now is elite cartels. I don't think that's a responsibility that we can say we are helpless. We still have to take it up and move on with the challenge, keeping our government to account. Because when these people speak, the government will listen. Even if they don't listen for the first time, the second time they don't listen, a third time they must listen. When it comes to matters politics, a city or an urban area is a cosmopolitan place. And the constitution allows that anywhere, it does not matter whether it's a city or cosmopolitan, anywhere that you desire, you can own property, meaning you can get land, buy, and stay anywhere. What is important is that you are a citizen, or if you're not a citizen, you have the regulations and the channels that have made you to have the rights of staying. And when it comes to discrimination, for example, political discriminations, those ones sometimes I cannot squarely say anything much about it. But political organizations are about the residents. If somebody is being discriminated, there must be certain things that make them be discriminated. So, like politicians, sometimes it is malicious by maybe your competitors, or sometimes it has some merit. So when it comes to politics, really, that one we leave to the politician. Wajipange vile wanazungumuza na wananchi, wajipange vile unaishi na watu. I'm very sure when you have associations, you do elections, isn't it? And when you elect a leader, you elect a leader based on some merits. So these merits are not just, you just come and say, mimi mbona munichagui. People will take certain steps and discuss you. And when you are discussed, they will say, this person ametosha. It does not matter whether you're coming from diaspora or you're Olureru that we always talk about. You heard about Olureru. So it does not matter. In the city, we have had, for example, in Kisumu Central, being represented by various member of parliament who are not actually from any Kisumu thing, any Kisumu location. Sivyo? Even Abalawanga, you know, though Abalawanga is not elected, we can say perhaps that was an appointee of the governor. But I'm talking about elections where people use their votes. And I'm not talking about rigging, elections that are rigged. I'm talking about huyu mtu watu wamempenda tu na wamempea kura. It is about them. So let's not talk about the character of the association. So the character of the association also is about the people who are in that association. And your engagement with government is open. Rights and responsibility, one of the things that was brought up by Ezra and I think Komenya in terms of citizen engagement. We as a county government engages the citizen. And I said, we have a structure up to where you are staying. And you have rights when, for example, the government is supposed to fix a road, and maybe the government is supposed to do a hall, it's a social hall in Kaloleni. I would say I have to confirm why this hall is installed. I know it is in another department that is handling this. It could be a number of issues when a construction or government project stalls. It could even be issue of the contractor that was doing it. With several issues, so but this particular one, I think I will follow up, and perhaps I'll get your number to give you exactly what is happening for the Colonial Hall. But what I know is that the government, whether we change government, we change leadership, government project is government project. It does not matter who comes in. If it is government project, it must be done to completion. So there could just be some challenges that we could find out about. But what I know is that the responsibility bit usually is not captured. Even here, we are already drifting to some extent, where we are already talking as if we are asking somebody a question, which is okay. We should ask government question. But in the association, are we talking about what we are supposed to do? So responsibility in areas or in countries that we talk of developed nations, you find that matters governance is by the people. The government just remains to collect revenue and employ people who offer specific services. But you'll find that where people have reached a point where they own government, then they do most of the things that the government is supposed to do. Like, for example, when it comes to just being vigilant. If a road is made, maybe street lights are put, you know, which government puts somebody on the side, security, watching who is vandalizing security? Is there any government? Very rare, if there is any. But then the residents know very well the vandals. The residents, they know very well that it is these boys, it is those people who have vandalized these street lights. So usually when people move to a level where now the citizens own government, then that is the level where we say now participation and governance is at its best. I'll not say so much because most of these questions have been talked about. Maurice from Obonga, you talked about participation, and also I think Nora from Migosi. Nora? Linda, thank you, that was Linda. Linda talked about adopting technology. I can say, maybe for those of you who are a little bit using technology, and technology is another thing where you can place things or information for use through technology, but again you have the receiving end, the end where now who is using this information or who is looking for this information. Then they don't have the gadget, or either they don't have the interest, or either they don't have the bundles to be able to use technology. So we have challenges also along that line, but I can say that this is one area that we are really scaling up. If you look at the way county government of Kisumu is releasing information even in the street screens and all that, I think we have come from somewhere. So we're only hoping that we are moving to the right directions. I'm not saying we are there yet, but we, I think, are trying. If you go to our website, you'll find it updated. You know, with even if we advertise about jobs, the tenders, we have a function. Some of it we even trend live. I'm told this was also to trend live. Is it true that it is trending live? Maybe. Maybe. If it is trending live, then there's so many people who are watching and listening, isn't it, outside this room. So it means that that kind of approach, when we do this kind of programs this day, we try to also even trend it live. But what I can encourage is that the Residents Association, our function, our responsibility is also to be able to work up these people who are not using technology so that they're also not left behind. Because information is not something that you should access if you have technology, but we're also using the traditional methods. That's why we still do meetings like this. A meeting like this could have been done online, yeah? But to do it this way, there's a value addition in seeing you face to face. You know, this is the Wilson Nindo, who is the Director of Public Affairs. So those kind of things are also very necessary. So we are really making moves. I know that there are government officers and sometimes other people who don't think the same. I could be speaking like this, but somebody is also not responding to what maybe the governor manifesto is as an officer. And we are putting such officers to check by coming up with policies and regulations. For example, we have what we call Public Participation Policy 2023, which is actually coming up with what we call meaningful public participation. I don't know the word meaningful, mtu anaweza kutafsiria kwa Kiswahili kwa sababu Komenya I think is going to be on my neck if I don't. Meaningful, what does it mean? Mjadala wa maana. Yeah, so ama engagement wa maana. So engagement because I had even Komenya throughout his talk, this engagement participation hakusema kwa Kiswahili, alisema tu citizen engagement, citizen you know. So hii mjadala wa maana is what we have now a policy for, because we have realized that in the past there have been just participation for the sake of participation, compliance, whereby we are saying that the law requires that we do participation and then we have done it. This is the attendance sheet, this is the report. What else do you want? Take us to court, we give you those reports and your case is thrown out. No, we want to move from there. We want to come to mjadala wa maana, whereby mjadala wa maana tukiketi hapa tunazungumuza. What next? Am I going to take any action after here? Am I going even to brief the governor about what you are saying? You see, how will you know that I briefed the governor, for example? So we are coming with a policy that make duty bearers take responsibility, and also the public, so that we have, when we are doing public participation, for example, I think that was, still from Migosi, about information that is going to be discussed arriving late or being posted in the website late. You see, that is not meaningful, because the person who is expected to participate is not going to participate meaningfully if they do not have the information in good time. Is that not so? So providing this information in good time and the way citizens are engaged should also be meaningful. Meaning the citizen must also be educated through Komenya civic education, so that we know that it is public participation. When you talk about it, it's not an event. It's a process. It is ongoing. Even today, you can come as a resident, write what you're saying, present it to the county secretary or the governor, and that you shall have participated. You shall have engaged the government. So we want to move from where back and forth. And for example, if you're talking about the county assembly, like when we do the annual development plan, we go to the people, they propose programs and projects, we take priorities, and their process. From there, this goes to the county assembly, and it is finalized there. In the past, we used to see what the executive have already gotten from the people is changed. And it's changed through what my colleague here was saying, that the participants in Forum X are very much different from participants in Forum Y. And this is one item. How do you now confirm that these are the things that the people who are in Forum X said when you're talking at Forum Y? So those challenges are going to be addressed by the policies, which we have access to information policy as well that we are working on. And we'll back this by regulations. There is also what we call the Act of the County Assembly. The difference from the policy is that the policy is proposed by the executive. The county government is structured in such a way that we have the county executive as one wing, led by the governor and the DG, or the deputy governor, and then we have the county assembly led by the speaker and the clerk. So when we talk about the policy, we are talking about maono mema. You know, now sasa nasungumuza Kiswahili kidogo. Yes. Yeah, usifikirie tu siwezi kabisa kabisa. Yeah, so when we are talking about policies, are these proposals, the manifestos of the executive, what the governor and his people and his executive committee would like the county to be driven. And this must be taken to the people. A policy must be verified, validated by the people before it is called a policy of the county government. It also goes to the county assembly. And the county assembly just adopts what you call the policies of the executive. But one thing that the county assembly is supposed to be doing is legislation. They are supposed now to make laws, will also check that now guides the implementation of this policy. And the executive now comes again with what you call regulations. Regulations now connects the policy and the check and the act. And that's how it's supposed to work. We are working all that around, and when you see some of these these gaps that have been there, they also have been there because there are no policies, proper policies in place. So people just do habla. Mtu anaingia kwa ofisi, anafanya vile anataka na utampeleka wapi. So first of all, we're also working so much in putting policies in place. Maurice from Mabunga, the participation in last year, that was finance bill. There was a problem in the printout that was going to be given out to the people. And that was finance bill are proposals about revenue collection, about rates. And if there is a problem in that, even if you are delaying, you rather correct it than take it to the people with a mistake. That is what happened. And at the delay was at the printer when that mistake was corrected. But then I went to even the radio and spoke about it. I know not all of you listen to radio because that is just one technology. Again, technology is several. So we tried, but let's not remember one bad thing for too long and the good things we are not talking about. Yeah, just one thing that happened last year becomes an example in several meetings 3 years later. That's not fair to government. You need to pick out also some positive things, some the street Europe, yeah, and you also compliment on that. Thank you. But that was, I agree with you. There was a hiccup there. I've talked so much about rights and responsibility, and I think that is so far. If there is anyone that I've left behind, Nani Ezra talked about on responsibilities again. Construction, for example, of a drainage. You see, and then it rains one night, and all the drainages are blocked, and oh, you see, this government is not doing nothing. You see, there's nothing they are doing. Angalia maji kwa town. So, and if you wake up the other day now to just say, these notices that were given to the people over the drainages, we are not going to give them a third notice. Maybe they will give notices twice. Then you just wake up. Sometimes I agree with Abala because if you just come during the day, they will do all sorts of things again to the tractor. We have seen even people running after a tractor driver with a panga. Unaweza kata tractor na panga. Yeah, we have seen those kind of things. So sometimes this coming in the night is just to make it happen without, now you're surprised. So now you hide and seek. So long as you do your work. Because the governor sometimes says, I want to see those drainages open. When the governor tells you that, how you're going to open those drainages and your people that wamekwamilia juu ya nini is up to you. Thank you very much and God bless you.
Asante sana. Thank you, Director, for that response. So, wananchi watukufu. Atajibu. Yeah. Time has gone. I know we are getting tired and also have to go and do other things. So, yeah. Amesema ambaye title deed atakuona. Yeah. So I want us to agree that we close in the next 15 minutes. Hiyo inawezekana? And for us to do that, inamaanisha we take Koziro atuka tupeana nafasi, we take some very few questions here. Tafadhali, if you had something that has already been touched on by anyone, you don't have to talk. Si lazima useme tena. But if you have something different, completely different from what has been tackled here, please just take 1 minute. The other time tomorrow, wengine alichukua time kupeana another presentation, another speech. So just take 1 minute, go straight to the point, ask your question, ndio tufunge the next 15. I don't want to keep you here longer than is necessary. Ndio wengine watu waende wafanye kazi zingine, si ndio? Sasa unaona kuna mambo ya maombi. So I think let's try and do that in the short. How many want to ask questions this side? Na kama ishauliza tafadhali, I've seen 4 hands, 5 hands. Only, please. Usikuwa na mkono zingine, and I can see them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And take 1 minute each. If you do that, then they take 5 minutes to respond. Tumemaliza. Haya.
Hamjambo. Vile hapa pande huu nimesikia akiuliza maswali. Swali langu la kwanza ni kwa upande huu. Kara inamaanisha nini? Kara inamaanisha nini? Aya, nyinyi mjibu. Kara inamaanisha nini? Na sisi kama watu wenye kuishi pamoja, kuna pesa tunawapatia ya kutusaidia nayo. Tukiwaitisha pesa watatoa wapi? Wangapi wanaelewa maana ya Hans Siedel Foundation? Hans Siedel Foundation, Hans Siedel ni mwanasiasa wa Ujerumani aliyezaliwa 1901 akafariki 1961. Baada ya kufariki, chama chake Christian Socialist Union ikaanzisha hii foundation ili isaidie kwa mambo ya demokrasia, utawala wa kisheria, maendeleo, usalama na utawala nzuri. Mnasikia? Kwa hivyo tukiongea, tujiulize tumekuja hapa kwa nini kwanza. Role of Residents Association and Community Groups. Residents Association ni nini? Ni muungano ya wakaaji pamoja, ama sivyo? Na mnapoungana, mna sababu ya kuungana. Mna vitu mnataka kufuatilia, ama sivyo? Sio viti za parliament, sio hizo viti zingine, ni mambo ya jamii hapo. Kwa hivyo tukiongea hapa, tujaribu sana tuyatatue hayo. Kuhusu mambo ya market na nini hayo ambayo director ameongea, jana nimekuwa na governor na waziri anayehusika na market, na amesema kama kuna biashara ambao wametuambia kwamba au ni wafanyabiashara na wamenyimwa stalls, watuletee majina tupeane kwa Chamber of Commerce. Tuko biashara market Kampala Street. Hayo tu, hatuna masaa.
Leta huku. Tuko this side. Kuja hapa mbele. Let's start from here. And zilikuwa
associations and groups to do the following, because even if we are talking here and there is no action, we are doing nothing. First, for good service delivery and development in Kisumu, Residents Association must stand up and condemn the notion of Ngito Kipandeni. Look at the back of your ID. It is taking us back in the 1980s and the 90s when there was Triple K. And this has been hindering even the business, have killed so many businesses in this town. Two, about the affordable housing projects within Kisumu. There is interference by political group. We have housing cooperative societies that are helping the neighborhoods, especially the informal settlements like Nyalenda, Manyata, Obunga, Bandani, and other areas. And they have been trying to give residents decent and affordable houses. And this is where we can come in so that we can protect these housing cooperative societies to manage their affairs without interference from political group. I can mention like Kipaso bought a land in Kibos.
Summarize please. Masaa zimeenda.
Sasa.
Kuna swali, just ask the question, alafu wengine waendelee tafadhali.
Yeah, the other thing is about the climate change. The community groups during public participation managed to come up and identify or prioritize what can be done to manage the climate change at community level. That is community GCOs within learning institutions through KUP by AFD. What happened to that? Lastly, about the fertilizers. Why can't we come as a group and ask about the fertilizers? community members have been receiving SMSs. Like me, I have 10 of them that go, this is your code. Go and take fertilizer from the nearest NCPB. What happened to this? If you go, there is no fertilizer. What is happening? Or is it a lip service? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Aya, hapo nyuma, I know the hands, nazijua. That's the second one. So there's third and then hapa mbele.
Thank you. Mine will be brief. It's a concern. Last time we had such a meeting in Tomboya Labor College. It was fantastic. We had all the representatives. But I never liked the representatives from the county government. I've never liked them. They talk so well on the podium. They mention so many good things. But when you follow up with them in the offices, you'll meet mean-looking men guarding those offices. You'll not find them to talk to and engage them. So that's a concern, Mheshimiwa. If you go back, please allow public to engage you on issues that are concerning them in their respective areas. The lady literally walked out when me and Daudi Ogada were up in arms and we were asking her several questions pertaining to community. I personally raised a concern on a memoranda I did for a church in my locality. And she was furious. She never addressed me pertaining to that. And I think if we will have ample time, we will follow up with you to see if you'll be able to help along that line. Number two, the issue of Oile Park has come up and it is a thorn in the flesh on so many residents of Kisumu. I think the manner in which it was handled is the issue. No one will resist change. No one will resist something good that is coming on the way of the community. But when it is handled with a lot of indignity and it is handled in humane manner that catalyzes on the advocacy, then it becomes a problem. If the approach was good for the public, no one would have opposed that. But when you are forced out of your area of doing business and you are told to vacate and you're not given an option, then it becomes an issue because the Constitution stipulates very clearly that human dignity must be upheld. And in upholding the human dignity, then things must be done in humane. And if that is done, and also when the government is about to initiate a program that is going to touch on the people's lives, like in the market, the Constitution says that they must be given an alternative. If you are moving these people from area B to area C, you must provide an alternative because this is person's livelihood depends on this purpose. So otherwise, that will be brief for her. Otherwise,
Thank you very much. Second last question before we come for the last one here.
Thank you. I'm called Barak Ojiem. I'm a member of Nyalenda Neighborhood Planning Association. I want to measure on solutions. But before I come to 2-3 solutions, I must appreciate the existence of residents associations in our informal settlement. By just existing and actually having achieved certain, made certain achievements, but also having failed to achieve others. So I have these recommendations, which I think are towards the solutions to make these residents associations more effective, more vibrant, so that they are able to do their role in terms of ensuring or demanding for accountability and also demanding for good service delivery. Number one, the residents associations themselves need to transform themselves so that the residents are given opportunity every time so that they own these associations. There is need for residents to elect the leaderships of these associations. There is need for the residents to become members of these associations, not as a few people being the leaders of these associations And we will be coming to such meetings like today's meetings, this year, next year, and every year. Therefore, denying other people opportunity to also get into these positions and bring in new ideas or innovation that can push, make the associations more effective. So that is just a small challenge that I wanted to give to the leaderships of these associations, wherever they are in the informal settlements or formal settlements, that let us open up, so that there is residence ownership.
Thank you.
The second one is just a recommendation to Kara. This association leadership has low capacity in different ways. There is low capacity, technical capacity, skills in advocacy. Many times these associations are not able to achieve much if another civil society organization does not come in to support them in that particular line. When that is over, then they go to sleep. So there is need to build the capacity of the leaders of these associations so that they sustainably do their role. There is also, it's not just technical capacity, it's also financial capacity. Elsewhere, in some countries, I have experience of governments giving grants to neighborhood associations, because neighborhood associations are playing a very critical role, or can play a very important role and critical role if given the support. So maybe the county government or the national government, if it is, there are limitations because it is not clear in the law or in the policies, it is high time now, if we want to have vibrant citizens, to support their mouthpiece, to support the residents associations, so that they're able to mobilize. For example, when we come to public participations on development matters, these annual events for public participation, the residents association is best positioned to mobilize, to mobilize the residents ahead of the calendar of public participation and have them build consensus on development matters. What happens is that during a public participation session, everybody works from their homes and they come to give their various opinion to the county government officials that are there. It would even be better and more meaningful if the residents association would organize their residents and on the same topics, so that they build consensus, so that they agree, do memorandums, and present what they had agreed about. It will take a shorter time and it will be more meaningful. Thank you.
Asante sana. Thank you very much for those recommendations. The last one here, hapa mbele.
Kisumu Citywide Residents Alliance. Now, where I've seen a gap is us not considering the dynamism and diversity of associations. People come in and move out despite having registered these associations. And there are also other factors that make even the associations themselves change. So I heard Mr. Samba talking about having to accredit them. So maybe the process of accreditation should be very clear so that we get effective residents associations. And again, I've been a resident of Kisumu here for quite a long time, and I remember there was the Millennium, and Millennium had an objective of making Kisumu better. And then there was the Kisumu we want. Those are processes and progresses that we needed to have taken stock of, and even brought the results of evaluation of where we were and where we are. So as a team, I think next time we are having such forums, we need to take stock of where we came from and where we are. Not even from the government, but even from us as residents associations.
Thank you so much. So we'll go straight to responses so that we can finish. Nick, I think there's something for you.
We can push the process of accreditation because the city manager was able to shut me down and told me that there are no associations in Kisumu and therefore he is not able to accredit any. So the process is there in the urban areas and regulations of 2022. That's a public document in the government website. Now, I think the rest of us, we have just allocated ourselves responsibilities, and we are now agreeing that Kisumu city is our city. The people in government are our neighbors. We live in the same neighborhood. When there is a problem of sewer, does it only affect us at our county you affect? So at the neighborhood level, he's just a neighbor. He is not a county government. So when there is a problem of insecurity, wezi wakikuja wanakuuliza wewe unafanya na county na ufanyi na county, see they attack everybody. So when it comes to the residents and in the neighborhoods, we are all equal and we have equal rights. It doesn't matter even if you're a neighbor of the governor, but when it comes to the voting of the associations, he only has one vote. So what I think is going to be important, and this is a conversation I'll have with Kara, is then how do we build the capacity of these associations so that they can engage effectively with the county government. And the way we can only deal with the county government is once they accredit you. So we'll start the process of accreditation so that probably by close of this financial year, we now even make requests if they can grant us, if we are going to help them with doing some of the public services in the neighborhoods, then they have to give us something small. I'm happy that Obunga is already doing the waste collection. There has to be a way the government can compensate you for doing their work. But of course, the government insists that they have to accredit you before they can formally have a relationship with you. So, my friend there highlighted the other issues, and I think Valentine, you've come out very strongly on, you know, I want to look at it from an angle of course, it might be out of this context, the context of our discussion, but how do we make our neighborhood safe and food secure? And as a resident association like in Nyalenda, there's a lot of farming that is happening there. That is something that the resident association can take very strongly and ensure that we get fertilizers and grow food, not in sewage, but grow food that is safe for consumption by our people. I think up to that point, ladies and gentlemen, I think those are some of the issues I wanted to respond to. But as we are living here, Kara has really made it important for us to meet. And I want us to come out of here with the clear action points, what you are supposed to do, what we are supposed to do. I've already made it clear. For those of us who have registered associations, kindly engage me so that I take you through the process of accreditation by the city, and thereafter we will now resource mobilize to see how we capacity build you. And those ones who, if in your neighborhood you also want to register the association, I can take you through the steps, but please make sure you have the money. You can only register an association if you have a minimum membership of 10 people. So it's not something you can register alone. You must have a minimum membership of 10 people, and you must have all the members' ID numbers, telephone numbers, and email addresses, because sometimes the Register of Society will always want to confirm if those are really members. So we want to run away from this briefcase where I come, the three of us, we start an association, nobody knows about it. It is just there, and that is why most of the time hazifanyi kazi, because people don't know about them. But now you have to come up with a list of 10 people who you give their telephone numbers and ID in the application. And the Register of Societies will now be able to know that those are the founding members of that association. And of course, when you're doing the accreditation, we also need the list of all those members, so that when Abala Wanga is looking at your application for accreditation, he's seeing this is the chairman, this is the secretary, and this is the constitution that says that after every 3 years, an election is being done. Then you have new. No, I'm not. I'm saying they don't have to come through me, but we can just offer that support. Yeah, you can just offer that support. But when you are applying, you will be applying, we will be applying to the city. Then the accreditation certificate will be issued to that particular association. Yeah, you don't have to come through me, but we can just offer that support, because for us, we engage at the city level. So other than that, ladies and gentlemen, the call is upon us. We have realized there are things that are not happening well, but we are the people with the solution. And the conversation must change now, so that we have the Kisumu that we want 20 to 50 years from today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nixon. I think it is also in my observation that the last speakers actually just gave us solutions, and they just provided more way forward, and nothing so much to say I'm responding, except a few. Perhaps there was the issue of the fertilizer. I think we have had an issue with the national government. I want to think that is what you meant. Yeah, so the much we can do about that is just to inquire and encourage that something better happens. But when it comes to programs of the national government, sometimes we realize poor coordination. And I think that is one area that is also on us, because, you know, agriculture is devolved. And when the national government is doing an agricultural function, and there is a mistake, then sometimes it becomes very tricky. But I want to say, if it is matter of county government, I think we don't have such issues. Or if we do, then there are very specific ways of addressing that. What my colleague was talking about, the fertilizer issue, you are getting a notice with a code, but you don't get the fertilizer, has been this program of, I think, the national government, if I'm not wrong. Thank you. The other speaker that I can respond to is my colleague who do not even have reached a point they don't even like the county government officials, because they talk very nicely, good English, but nothing to show. That is not completely or totally true, because different people are in different positions in government. So when you're making a statement, you don't make a blanket statement. You at least use the word some. Yeah, and this specific, we can trace that person who misbehaved. And there is also, sometimes when you want to approach government, it is also important that you know who you are approaching and how you are approaching. Sometimes you put a certain officer who is junior and does not have information to a corner, and you expect them to give you some, declarations. Wataenda hivi hivi. Because in government, there is what you call protocol. If I don't do it, I report to a person called a chief officer. If Wilson Nindo, who is the Director of Public Affairs, did not respond to this, there is always a next step and a next step, and finally there's the government, which is led by the governor. Some people prefer to start it the other way around. They start with the governor, and then they come downwards. That one also works. Sometimes it doesn't work very well because the governor will just, give you promises and give you direction. But if you go down to maybe the director, they will be having some different experience that you can listen to and understand. Like I said, when we talk, you have an opportunity to explain as a government officer why you did not do something that you ought to have done. But I'm very sorry if there was some misbehavior on certain officers of the county government of Kisumu not responding or not performing. That one is very, very sorry. I may also want to say that in my experience with public participation, you will not say that you will approach people and they will not resist, even if you approach them in a better way. There must be a few who are benefiting differently, who will organize resistance. That is my experience. So you will not say, several times when the Kibwe market was to be done, we did several public participation, we come, go, we come. Every other time we come, the same people who had agreed and made the solution that we will be moving, even if they know where they are going. Sometimes they don't like where they are going. And that's another issue. So you as government, you've identified where you are taking them, but they're telling you, no, we are not going there. So it is not just ending at you have an alternative place to take them. It goes through so much. And one thing that I have experienced, sometimes when you are outside government, you can talk. But when you apply and you are given a job and you come into government and now you are the director, you sit there and now see how we behave. You realize that so many, like we're in this room, I don't know, we're almost approaching, 80 or thereabout. Out of 80, you will find some 10 that were in this meeting, but all these things that you're saying, good, yes, let's go this way, this is the way Kara and the residents should go. There are some that what you're talking about affect them the opposite way. And that is what happened in the public. And I can tell you the power of those few people can sometimes challenge you and take you in cycles for months and months and months. Because you come to another public participation, now they are saying another thing. You agree that on Monday we will do this. That day you made perhaps a demonstration. If you look at the nature of the demonstration, it is organized by a few. But they have made sure that it is succeeding because they have got the borders and they are paid and they are doing it in a very spectacular way, and it is a real demonstration. And they make sure that it is covered on media, it appears on TV, that the residents of say Fulani were, when we were doing the Makasimbo, affordable housing, I personally was leading a public participation. Maybe no. We went round and round, and at some point, there were even physical fights whereby some residents are fighting because they are now realizing that part of the residents do a public participation there today. They will talk differently. They will say, this is good. Maybe, I don't know if they will say it is bad. Thank you very much. This talk cannot end unless it is ended. God bless you very much.
Asante sana. Yeah, at one point we have to come to an end. So, anasema everything must come at one point. So I know there's still so much to talk about. There's still issues that need to be addressed, but we're also dealing with time that is not infinite. So we also have to manage our time very well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to come to a close of this forum so that we can go and do other things. And coming to a close means that we basically agree on the way forward that can then enable us to make some follow-up. So I've listened to the conversations, I've listened to some of the suggestions that have been made, and I'm happy that everybody agrees that we really need strong resident associations or community group to address our issues at the local level. we've also all agreed that we need to take responsibility of our neighborhoods because nobody is going to do it for us. If things are going wrong in our neighborhood, it is us who are living there who are directly affected. So we have to take responsibility. There was what Sambat said about registration of resident association, and I think Linda also asked that. I know there are a few resident associations that are legally registered. And like I said earlier, some years back we supported some of them to be registered. And I'm happy that people like in Obunga seem to be active. Let us take the challenge to register these entities because there's value in having a legal entity that you are working with. Samba has mentioned to you about the accreditation process that is in law. And I believe that once you are accredited, then your engagement with the county government and any other stakeholders become more strategic and become more meaningful because now you are basically recognized by the county government and they're able now to work with you as key stakeholders. So if you have a challenge registering, now it's an online process. Let us know. We can help with that, give you the step-by-step process of doing that. And Linda, yes, we can help as Kara, but I want to tell what somebody said, because this is your association, I think it is only fair that these 5,000 shillings, you find a way of raising it so that you even have ownership of the association. So where we can come in is if you have challenge in getting the process completed, or if it is taking too long to come out, the certificate, because at times it can take quite a bit of time if there's nobody following up. But as Kara, we have a working relationship with the registered societies. So once you've done the online process up to the point where you're now waiting for the certificate, if it's taking inordinately long, we can be able to intervene and make sure that it comes out in the shortest time possible. That's the support you can give, and can also give support of taking you through the step-by-step process of registration. It's a very simple process, and you can then be able to follow through on that. Capacity building, I agree entirely, and we are continuously, as Kara, looking for partners that we can work with to ensure that we are training leaders of resident associations, and we are working with resident associations to make them more effective. By the way, even this forum is a form of capacity building. Do you know? Yes, because kuna kitu umesoma leo that you didn't know before you came here. So even having these forums in itself, and that's why I want to encourage those who are saying that we come for these forums, and I don't think it's in vain, because even by coming here, there's something that we're going out with today that you didn't know. We've had these kind of forums in various counties, and I can tell you, there are forums that we've put together, and people have come to those forums, and they've walked out with solutions that they're not able to solve even for 10 years. Because the people in that room were the people who could be able to solve those issues, maybe the government officers. So they've come with the problems, they've been trying to sort out the issues, but by the time the forum is over, they actually walk out with a solution that they've been looking for so many years. So I think let's continue having these sessions, and let's continue speaking and consulting with each other. And on that note, one of you has actually asked me a question. And the question he was asking, if the people in this room, particularly the resident association community leaders, are willing to have monthly sessions where you can talk about issues and have follow-up on what needs to be done as residents of Kisumu, and that can be able to create some kind of mechanism of regular consultation and regular participation. So he's asking if that can be done on a monthly basis, maybe every 2 months, but is proposed monthly. And he has actually said that if you people agree, some of you agree that you can have monthly meetings talk about Kisumu issues and Kisumu agenda, he's contributing 15,000 shillings every month for those meetings. So meaning that if you are going to have a meeting, there's already 15,000 put down by one of us, I'm going to say who he is. And now that can facilitate a few things like buying water, maybe tea and snacks, and somebody can even donate a venue. So is that something that makes sense to us? Hiyo kitu tunaweza fanya. And we can agree that we are going to have regular interactive sessions to talk about our issues in terms of service delivery. I think it's a good idea, but I think we need a vehicle to be able to do that. We need some leadership to be able to guide that, because now we need somebody who will now come up and follow and say that on this particular date, we are meeting here, we are going to discuss these issues. So I'm going to suggest that if we can identify that mechanism, and I don't know if we can allow maybe one of us, like Samba, who is already trying to organize things around these areas, to be the anchor organization for that, so that we can have mechanism of following up on that. Is that agreeable? Yeah, I'm just throwing suggestions, because nyinyi ndio mnajua what is good for you. What's your suggestion? Huh? What are... Can do quarterly. Okay. So once every 2 months, is that okay? Can we give Samba the responsibility to organize that? Have we agreed? Unanimously. Okay, Dr. Owondo, can you stand up so that wakuone? So Dr. Owondo has committed 15,000 shillings for every meeting, but he's also saying that he'll also wish people to also contribute. Ni secretary ni yeye peke yake. So kama kuna wengine who can also come on board to contribute, hata kama ni shilingi moja, shilingi mbili, just to support, because these meetings require money. And you need basic things like maybe you need to pay for a venue, you need to buy some water, ama some tea and mandazi. And so Dr. Wanda, I'll request that you collaborate with Samba here and see how that can be structured. Madam? Okay. And that's, in fact, I was going to say that we can start off with this. As Kara will continue checking with our partners. If we are able to unlock certain doors, we'll also come on board and see how we can support. So I think we have started on a good note. And thank you, Dr. Wanda, for that offer, because we really need to follow up on these issues. We really need to speak as residents of Kisumu who want change, positive change, and to make a contribution to our city. So I think that is one of the action points. But the other one, Bwana Director, I think you've had the issues. You've had the sentiments that are being raised. Most of them fall within your docket in terms of public participation and engagement. So I'm just going to request that you open your doors to the people here so that you can have regular platforms. And maybe it can go beyond calling a public participation to talk about a decision, like maybe a policy. I just say today we are meeting just to talk about Kisumu. You know, and I know as county you have those resources. You can just say we are going to convene on this particular day, a meeting like this, and we just want to listen to what Kisumu people are saying and what issues they want addressed. And then we can have mechanisms of follow-up. But if you can have somebody in the office, but a director, who can be able to like directly engage with this team here, I'm sure that that can go along. Already we have some of them organized in form of resident associations, and so it's easier to engage with them in that manner. That will go a long way. So ladies and gentlemen, that is what I've picked in terms of the way forward. I think it is good. We'll keep a close eye as Kara, especially on this regular engagement. And where we can, we'll also support. We'll give our support so that this can then morph into something that is really a deal breaker or a change maker in Kisumu. Because the more we interact, the more we engage, the more we speak with each other, the more we come up with ideas that can then change our city for the better. So with those many remarks, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to come to a close to this meeting, And thank you very much for coming, for being patient up to this point, for your participation, for your contribution that has made this session very successful. So we are going to close with a word of prayer once again. And please don't go before you grab some tea and snacks that is prepared. I think it's somewhere out there as we continue interacting, tukizidi kuongea na kujuana zaidi. So, that
just one last input.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you will permit me. We already have a WhatsApp group called the City of Kisumu Community. and it is a WhatsApp group where we don't discuss politics. We only discuss matters Kisumu City. So if you will allow us to add all of you in that group so that we can continue with this conversation. The WhatsApp group has existed since 2017 when people were talking about IEBC must go. And we came together as different stakeholders within the city to form that group. So I think if your numbers were left there, we will add you. In case we don't add you, you can have my number, 0721 295 974.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. 0721 295 974. $295,974. Thank you. Aya.
My suggestion is that this is an entirely different group from what Samba was pursuing, and therefore those assembled here should have another group just dedicated to this ongoing discussion and conversation.
Okay, he's saying that the existing WhatsApp group is a totally different thing. Maybe it was formed with different agenda, but now seated here, we've agreed on why we need to come together and how regularly we want to meet. The suggestion is that we form a completely different WhatsApp group that talk about the things we've talked about here today and delink it from what is already existing. Samba, that's a fair comment? It's a fair comment. Okay, so again, Yadhan will drive the process of forming that new WhatsApp group so that we can all be on the same page. So, nani natuombea, preferably our brothers or sisters from Waislamu, because tulianza na Christian.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamina. Ya Allah, tunakurudishia shukurani kwa wingi wako wa wewe kutuumba. Yale ambayo tumezungumza hapa, twende tuyafanyie kazi Mola wetu. Wageni wetu wenye wamekuja, Mola wetu uwarudishe nyumbani salama. Na sisi tuzingatie Mola wetu. Tunarudisha shukurani kwa wale walikaa chini wakatengeneza mpango huu wa kuja kutuelimisha. Uzidi kuwapatia hikma. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Arrahmanirrahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghairin maghlubi alayhim waladhdallin. Amin.
Have some snacks as we interact.